Okay, we were up and running. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Space and Rocket Review. Space and Rocket Review. You two girls, tell your friends. Space and Rocket Review. How is everybody doing today? Good news, everyone. EJ is here. Yes. Yes, I am. I moved Kerbal to after hours, guys. I moved it to after hours because I needed to finish working on the car, and the car is operable. It's operable. I fixed it. It works. I don't know how long it's gonna work, but it works. We're good. She good. It's yeah. It's working. I needed the extra time to any debris in the trans fluid. No. Hey Redbeard, sorry I haven't made it any streams lately. I've been busy with school. School comes first, dude. And I got into RDR2 with mods again. Now school comes first, dude. Alright. Okay. Anyway, tick off that. How's everybody doing? Dude, that was involved. That was involved. That was a lot of work. Just to replace the stupid transmission lines. That was a lot of work. That was a lot. Sorry. I budgeted like 5 hours to do it, guys. I was up early this morning. Yeah, that was a lot of work, man. But the car is running. I took it to get Remo chicken nuggets. Yeah, it runs fine. New hat, sweet. Oh yeah, it's my NASA Spaceflight Live hat. Yeah. Sorry for the chat drama on your part. What do you mean? You like, guys? Here's the thing. Like, what are you talking about? Like being here, fellas? Look, you don't need to tell me that I need to be here on time. I know. I get it. With that being said, this week, dude, if you don't know the crap that I've been through this week. You don't even know, and I'm not like, that's not even the car. Like, what happened with the car and my phone isn't even the half of it. And I'm not telling you what it is. It's not. Believe me, I've been here as much as I possibly can be without getting like no sleep. Like I've gotten maybe 4 to 5 hours of sleep every night, basically since Saturday. It's not great, dude. And it's not an excuse either, but like, I usually agree. I gotta be here on time. You said you'd be here. And I very much believe in that. Absolutely. What I'm telling you this week, don't worry about it. I apologize, but don't. I will only ever say this once. Get off my back. Okay? Just this week. I didn't even say that when my computer exploded. Get off my back. Trust me on this one. It's been bad. I am trying as best as I can to manage my time. And it's not working as well as I want it to be. That's not to say that I don't know about it. That's not to say that I shouldn't be here. Trust me. Yeah, look at me. You know I'm anal retentive about this stuff. This week was out of my control. Completely. I'm trying my best. Trust me. I'm not one to say, lay off. Lay off this week. You'll find out why later. You'll find out why later. It's for a good reason, okay? Let me tell you. Anyway, with that all being said, Please, promptly on Monday, recommence the "you should be here on time, you're a piece of crap for not doing that," and I will listen to you, and we will work to fix that. Or not we. I'll work to fix that. Okie dokie? Cut me a little bit of slack this week. Anyway. Yeah, drunk soul, maybe. Maybe one day, dude. Maybe one day. That's not what's going on, but not to say it ain't on my mind. Anyway. Did you hear about the Isaacman news? No slack. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Anyway. It's all good, dudes. Don't worry about it. Okay. I have one more link to transfer over, and then we should be good. All right, so that seems to be what everybody wants to talk about. So let's start right here with our space news, shall we? Let me turn up Starbase Live so the headset doesn't time out. All right, what do we got? Boop. So this is coming from Bloomberg here. Jared Isaacman and President Donald Trump have met in recent weeks and discussed reviving the fintech billionaire's nomination to lead NASA. Huh. You know, I saw this and I was like, yeah, okay. But also, CNBC seems to be reporting the same thing. Trump meets with Jared Isaacman about top NASA job after pulling the nomination. President has met with Jared Isaacman to discuss another nomination to lead NASA. Source familiar with the talks confirmed to CNBC. Isaacman, who has close ties with SpaceX and Elon, was at the White House in September for Trump's dinner for tech power players. Elon did not attend. Elon didn't attend because he had other plans. That's what he said, at least on X. After, okay, they got into it. That's the drama that went down. We all know that. Now it looks like he gets to do it all over again. Interesting. Why'd he pull him? Trump and Elon got into it with each other, and they started yelling at each other on X, and possibly in real life as well. We don't know that for sure. All we know is Elon showed up to a press interview with a black eye, and then like 2 or 3 days later, he left Washington, D.C. and never went back. They did not talk to each other until, and once again, I'm not mentioning this for good or for bad, it's just for contextual matters. They did not get back together. The president and Elon did not talk to each other until Charlie Kirk's funeral a couple of weeks ago. That's when they met up again, and now this is a thing. So I'm sure someone's going to take this negatively somewhere. But also, not bad. It's very interesting. Isaacman took Sean Duffy up in his fighter jets also. Yeah, that did happen. That's true. Yeah, so, all right. I mean, Jared Isaacman went on a podcast a little while ago, and basically laid out his plans for what he would have done with NASA. They're not bad. Essentially, his whole idea for NASA is to make NASA very I want to say lean, but that's not the right way to say it. Make it so NASA is very flexible in how it goes about conducting things. So, like, okay, think about it like this. You know, during the Apollo program, they had some very stringent ways about how they thought they were going to get to the moon, right, and do lunar missions, right? And then that changed. It changed after they landed. They changed around a couple of things. And then, you know, they brought the lunar rovers, and then they did different ALSEP experiments, Apollo Lunar Surface Experiments package. Right, they changed it up based off of what they learned, and they kind of changed the scope of the program. You know, obviously it was land on the moon. And then they were slowly shifting to land on the moon and start to do science from there. And then after that, it was, you know, land on the moon, do the science, and then maybe look at the Apollo applications program and build lunar bases with the descent stage of the LEM, right? So to get more permanent outposts on the moon, routine missions to the moon, and then Skylab doing flybys. Heck, there's an Apollo applications program that actually happened that not many people know about, where they installed a space telescope into the side of the CSM. Yeah, not a lot of people know that. They used it to chart the moon. It took pictures of the moon as the CSM was flying around. I believe that was Apollo 15. And they charted all the moon in I was about to say high def, but it's not high def. It would have been like 70 millimeter or something. So Rook really wants NASA to be able to be flexible in their goals. You know what? I'm cool with that. That's fine. NASA being able to kind of pivot based off of, you know, what they find. I think personally that works really well, especially if political winds are shifting every 4 years. That makes them very lean. They can kind of go back and forth and do whatever they want. The idea is that, you know, you don't end up with a rocket that launches once a year that was designed in 1987, right? That might move people to the moon someday. No, NASA needs to be more adaptive. They need to be more lean in how they do things. I don't have a problem with that, to be honest with you guys. That's not a bad idea. Hey Rob, what's going on? It's the internet. Someone could announce a cure for cancer and someone else would be upset about it. Yeah, I know. It's all right. That's why there was a Translunar Deep Space EVA. They were getting the film. Yeah, that's right. Ship, I'm doing good. How are you? So Artemis 3 next year? Oh, I don't know. The NASA empire will now start. Dude, this is not necessarily a bad thing. You know what, dude? It's like, I don't know if people want to hear this or not. I don't really mind Sean Duffy either. I don't, like, he's had a couple of dumb posts on X where you're just like, dude, what are you talking? What are you doing? But for the most part, seems to be echoing what Isaacman wanted to do. Or wants to do, I guess. We should say wants to do now. So, hey, not bad. NASA's still potentially going through a really big reduction in workforce, which I'm not so sure is the best idea. But you know, I don't mean to undersell it. It's not very good. There supposedly are rumors of layoffs going around, big layoffs. And I'm not so sure in the long term that that's going to be a good solution or not. But yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with how Sean Duffy has run NASA. He's basically just talked a lot, and then just NASA's just kind of doing their thing. So, I don't know. If Isaacman gets in there and he can implement even half the stuff he talked about, that would be really good. That'd be good. Hey, Cosmo Quest, thanks for the raid. Dude, 3 days in a row. Have you seen the little kitten model? I have, Louise. Oh, yeah. Yep, yep. You know, that was the idea that led to the shuttle. Well, not a bad vehicle at all. We'll see what happens programmatically when they are more responsive to politics rather than less. Yeah. Yeah. Could the plan be to build back NASA from the ground up under Jared, basically a soft restart? Trey, it's a touchy subject with people, so I don't like talking about it too much, dude, but yes, I think that's what's going on. I think that's what all these layoffs are. And guys, you know, you can call me a piece of crap, you'd probably be right. I mean, can't even show up to my own damn stream on time. Like, you remember when I said, like, last year that everyone at NASA, like, needs to be fired, like, because they're useless? Like, my eyes may have been bigger than my stomach, saying that. So, that seems to be what's going on. I'm not entirely sure if that's a good idea. Like, when I said it, it was kind of hyperbole in context, so I don't know if that's a good idea or not, dude. I don't know if that's a smart thing to do. The monkey's paw might have curled a little bit. Yeah, that seems to be what's going on, Trey. What department are they getting rid of? So NASA has a problem, okay? And let me give you some context as to why I say, people at NASA should, they need to fire these people. First of all, it's the programmatic management of the Artemis program. It's dog crap. It's terrible. Ever since Jim left, it's really bad. Like, not great. Pushing out missions, saying we'll launch when you're ready, when in reality you can't skirt the fact that you don't have a hardware-rich program. There's just not a lot of SLSs to do these missions. You need to ramp up. And Jim was going to do that, and then he lost his job, and we got Bill Nelson instead, and he did kind of frick all with that, but that's what I meant when I said, like, oh, you gotta get rid of these people. These people don't do anything. They're just status quo. Everything, let's just keep everything good. They have people skills. They are good at dealing with people. Can't you understand that? And that's what I meant in the context of, like, get rid of them. Get out of here. But NASA has another problem. Kids don't want to work for NASA. You don't want to work for NASA. Why would you want to work if you're 22 and you have an aerospace engineering degree? Why would you want to work for NASA? Why? Why would you? There's no point. You can get maybe a cushy job there, maybe if you did a bunch of internships, and if you do get a job there, yeah, you work like 30, 40 hours a week, right? And you get maybe one launch a year. If you're an aerospace engineer, you make, doing that, you make pretty decent pay, pretty good pay. The pay is not bad, but why would you want to? People don't get into aerospace engineering. Like, dude, don't get me wrong. There's always people that do it as a job. Absolutely. And there's no problem. That's fine. Okay? But a lot of people get into aerospace engineering because they love it. Because they love doing it. And they want to make a difference. Especially if you're 22, right? You're 22, 23 years old. You're very idealistic. You want to get stuff done. You want to see change. Everybody's like that when they're in their late teens and going through college, right? You want to go and you want to work 60, 70 hours a week. You want to belt stuff out. You want to see the difference. Like, people want to go work for SpaceX or Rocket Lab or hell, even Astra. Chris Kemp was recruiting college students when he made those crackpot remarks the other day. You want to work in the private sector. You make more money and you actually launch stuff. No one wants to work for NASA. NASA's mean age is like 58 right now. Mean age. Meaning that at least half of NASA's staff is over 60. That's not good. That's really bad. That's not great. That's not good if you want, to get stuff done quick. And don't get me wrong, this is not me being ageist at all either, First and foremost, it comes from the top. You need a plan. Just because people are older doesn't mean that they can't contribute, right? Like, it's just NASA's getting a little top heavy because of it. And that's not good. There's too many deputy secretary, undersecretary, deputy administrator, associate administrator of this division of NASA. There's too much of that crap. There's too much. Not everybody can be everybody's assistant in upper management, but that seems to be the case here, right? That's the problem. And, like, people can say whatever they want about Sean Duffy. They can say whatever they want about the president. You can say whatever you want about Rook. That's fine, but that's the right move. Now, the flip side, well, they think it's the right move. The flip side of that, dudes, is that you're losing a lot of institutional knowledge doing that. I've warned against the perils of this. We wanted to do the Artemis program with SLS, but we fired all the people that worked on the shuttle. And we fired all the people that worked on Constellation as well. So how are you going to make a shuttle-derived launch vehicle that's based loosely off Constellation architecture when you fired all the people that did that? That's the other reason why SLS has taken so long, because you got a new crop of people that aren't familiar with shuttle-derived launch vehicles and didn't work on Constellation. And they basically all had to learn. That's the other tax we've been paying, an institutional knowledge tax on the SLS program. That's the other reason why it's taken so long. So surely there's a happy medium here somewhere, but something needs to give. Something needs to change somewhere, because people don't want to work for NASA. Every young aerospace engineer I talk to, everyone says the same thing. I want to work for SpaceX. I want to make a difference. I don't even say don't work for NASA. If it comes up between me and younger students that are watching the stream, I say, what do you want to do? Oh, I want to work for Rocket Lab. Oh, I want to work for Firefly. Oh, I want to work for SpaceX. I want to work on the Starship program. No one says I want to work on SLS. Nobody says that. And that's not, once again, not a slight against the hardware. I think SLS is a fine rocket. It needs a better upper stage, but yeah, that seems to be where we're at, dudes. So, once again, shaking it up like this could pay dividends, but it also could catastrophically fail. You could really have a bad day. I reckon that NASA could have had boots on Mars by the 2000s if they were not mainly a jobs program. Sluttons, I've never had a problem with a jobs program, dude. I know that sounds stupid. I don't have a problem with a jobs program as long as the jobs do something. The Apollo program was arguably a 400,000 jobs program. But it did something, right? That's fine. I don't care. You hire 400,000 people to put people on the moon, whatever. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that as long as the jobs program freaking does something. I'm good with it. Well, my liquid propulsion thing is starting to fall through real quick. There's a reason why people have been trying to do liquids at my college for nearly a decade. Persistence wins the race. Thinking of what that generation of workers did, they managed things other than the shuttle, and now they're in charge of high-profile programs that have zero experience with. Yeah, JPL and Goddard just still hold up, I hope. I haven't heard good things, Driados, but I won't report anything yet. If it's a job programs, then it isn't a space program. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Baron, I've asked my colleagues in NASA about the news, so apparently Duffy is real busy with the Department of Transportation. Yeah, he's got a lot on his plate with the traffic controller thing that's going on. And doesn't spend much time at NASA HQ. He had a couple of meetings concerning the programs, and especially Artemis, and apparently he was really angry about the schedule delay, but the big rumor now in the agency is that Duffy went with this news to the president and recommend that he hires someone that's laser focused on returning to the moon by 2028, and that Jared was the recommendation. Do it, man. You should have done it 6 months ago. NASA used to be the ones who make a difference. They've been knocked down every time they want to live up to that since Apollo, and now they're gun shy now because of it. Yeah, Aqualex, exactly. That's exactly what's going on. And that sucks, dude. That sucks. You know, but what are we just gonna keep we're gonna keep you stay on the sinking ship, dude, until it hit, you keep running the course until the damn thing hits an iceberg and sinks? No. Got to do something about it. You got to turn the wheel. Helm. Totally fair. I guess in this case, I mean, it's a program where they prioritize the future instead of just keeping investors and politicians happy. Bingo. The goal is always the problem here, Slatins. I don't mind a jobs program. I don't. I really don't, as long as you do something. And that comes from the president. That comes from the executive branch. That's who denotes NASA's goals. The reality of the situation isn't necessarily a jobs program, dude. The reality of the situation is that NASA has done frick all since the Apollo program because nobody's willing to commit. Nobody's willing to commit to do a program because every time someone does commit to doing something bold with the space program, the next guy says, nah, nope. KSP guy, I'm in college for engineering with the goal of working in aerospace. Many of my friends are in the same boat. Want to work for private, not so much NASA. Yep. Some good news? Thousands, what do you think? Huh. Isn't that a kick in the head or what? Risk adverse ever since Challenger, maybe? I mean, Challenger did not make it better, Buxo. That's for sure, dude. Too many executive chefs, not enough line cooks at NASA. That's exactly. 90% of the institutional knowledge is already gone. Yeah, I mean, trade, you're right. At this point, just send it, dude. Just send it. Let's go. Soft restart. Fine. That's all right. You want to land people on the moon in 2028. Okay, cool. Do we have a concrete architecture to do that? No, not right now. Is 4 years enough time to do that? Yes, absolutely. Because we might not have a concrete architecture right now, but we have enough popping off in the commercial market to make a good architecture. There's enough. Between New Glenn, SLS, the EUS, Mark 1 lander, and Orion, you could do a very robust and healthy lunar exploration program. And you could get it running well by 2028 if someone had the wherewithal to freaking do it. Also, you wanting a better SLS upper stage, what is your thoughts on the EUS? The EUS is slightly anemic. It was made to be a jack-of-all-trades upper stage, so it's not very good at delivering payload necessarily to the moon with any punctuality. What the EUS is really good at is launching probes to deep space. Deep space. That's what it's good at. It's very good at that. 4 RL-10s, 8.4 meter hydrogen tank. Dude, we could send stuff to Pluto next week. Unfortunately, because you don't have really high TWR on on the EUS, you're looking at a 40 metric ton throw weight to translunar injection. 40 metric tons TLI is not bad, but it kind of is bad if you take into account the Orion capsule is 25 tons of that. So now you have 15 tons left over for a lander. 15 tons is the size of the LEM. Okay, that was the mass of the LEM, give or take. It depends. So 15 to 16 tons. So I'll give you a conditional hypothetical for why I don't like the EUS. Does the EUS have enough delta V to send 40 metric tons translunar injection and then circularize it around the moon? Yes, theoretically it does. Boil off is a thing. It takes 3 days to get to the moon. All your propellants will be boiled off. So the EUS can only really shoot stuff to the moon that's about 40 tons. That's an Orion and something like a LEM if we had something like that, right? Now, say it does do that. Orion can only get that LEM to the gateway. It can only get it to the gateway. The lunar excursion module does not have enough delta V to go from a rectilinear halo orbit down to the surface of the moon and back. No way. Not a chance. It was only designed to go down from low lunar orbit and then back up, and that's it. Orion can't get the LEM down to where it needs to be to do its thing. That is a huge hole in the Artemis program's architecture. That's my problem with the EUS. It's that and Orion's anemic service module. I hate that dang thing. No offense to the Europeans. I know you guys could build a better service module. The architecture for the program is not ideal. Strip all the RL10s off of it and use a single BE3U. How much power does a BE3U make? Let's take a look. Oh. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, one BE3U. The dual expander cycle. One BE3U on the EUS would fix this problem. Yeah, absolutely fix this problem. What's the mass on this motor? Do we have anything on the mass? Why is Orion so dang heavy? Orion is heavy because it's designed to stay up there for a long period of time. Orion is basically a jack of all trades capsule. It can be used as a tug. It could be used as a command bridge for a much bigger ship that it docks to. It has solar panels instead of fuel cells, so its loiter time is way higher. Guys, an Orion can sit uncrewed for like 200 days. By itself. Free floating. 200 days. No problem. Crazy, right? Yeah, 175,000 pounds of thrust. Yeah, one BE3 on the back of the EUS should fix this problem. Yeah, that should fix that problem. Yeah, Orion... Now, keep in mind, Orion can loiter for 220 days. It's 221, if I'm remembering correctly. It can do that with no people on board. Nobody on board. With people on board, because people do that whole breathing thing. You think that's air you're breathing now? Orion can do about a month, maybe a little bit less. Probably, it could do about a month, but NASA will never plan a month mission around that. So I'd say 3 weeks, maybe. Don't get me wrong, that's really good. That's better than the CSM. Way better than the CSM. The CSM could only really stay up there for maybe a week and a half. And that's why they built the S4B, to get it out there quickly, because the bottleneck in your Apollo architecture is having enough air so people don't suffocate. I don't think NASA's goal should be a presidential thing. Even good ambitions programs take longer than 4 years without protecting them from having the goalposts move. Midway, they'll just keep getting knocked over. Explain the shuttle program, then. Yeah, okay, you want it like the post office or Amtrak. Yeah, maybe, dude. I mean, now would be the time to shake it up, Aqualux. That would be the time to do that. Could a vacuum Raptor be used on the EUS? Nah, differential propellants. You'd have to go redesigning the tanks. The BE3 should be able to do it. If you're feeding 4 RL10s, and instead, I mean, you'd have to redo a lot of the plumbing. But once again, there's no way one BE3, there's no way one engine is heavier than 4 RL10s. RL10s are they're pretty heavy. But what they lack in mass, they're not like super heavy. Hang on, let me check. Hold on. Oh. 600 pounds. 664 pounds. Yeah, I scratched that. I must have been thinking of something else. Oh, the RL10s are they're pretty dang light, actually. Yeah, 664 pounds, about 300 kilos. A little over 300 kilos. That's pretty light considering. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Yeah, I think one BE3. I mean, what's like here? Let's just AI it. BE3 rocket engine dry mass. Yeah, Blue keeps that under wraps. There's no way it's... Well, let's see. What's 4 RL10s? 4 RL10s is 2,800 pounds. So that's 1,200 kilos or 1,300 kilos, something like that. There's no way a BE3 weighs that much. There's no way that it's that heavy. I mean, it might be. I mean, dude, even if it pushes, even if mass pushes, or even if it's, say like a BE3U is 2 tons or something, right? Say it's 2 tons. You have the same specific impulse, and you have much higher thrust. So you're sacrificing 1,000 kilos to your dry mass, but you're making up for it in high energy transfers. Probably close to an RS-25. There is no way. Well, actually, yeah, I was gonna say, I keep forgetting that the RS-25 is actually super light. It's the RS-68 that's heavy. I still can't believe RS-68s weigh 7,000 pounds. How is that? Like, how did you do that? How did you make a rocket engine that heavy? I think I could make a lighter rocket engine than that. That's a joke. I couldn't. The BE3 is 1,800 pounds. Yeah, Fluffy, I mean, I don't know where you got that info, but dude, if it pushes on mass, if a BE3 pushes on mass with 4 RL10s, that is basically an across-the-board upgrade for the EUS. Yeah, it's important to say BE3U. The BE3U is the upper stage for New Glenn motors. The BE3 is the one that's on New Shepard. Now, speaking of that, if you guys care, New Shepard did launch yesterday. Check it out.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Yeah, the B3 5, and the B3U are 2 different motors.
Command engine start. 2, 1.
Let's go.
The tower, if you look on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you'll be able to follow along for the timing as NS-36 heads towards the
pressure line. Looks good.
Okay. Yeah, Cyborg, if I had to put my money on what a B3U is, it's probably somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 pounds. It's probably just a shade under a ton. How do you feel about T0 being engine start versus liftoff? J-Speed, that's not something I really care about. I care about the thing working. You could have it launch off the pad at T plus 20 seconds as long as it works. I don't really care. Everybody picks a slightly different time, you know. Some people start the timer at engine start, and other people start the timer at liftoff. I don't care. Whatever. As long as your timing is correct. You hear the Miranda engine. It's pretty cool. Yeah, that's neat. But either way, like, yeah, the EUS, I'd be curious to crunch those Delta V numbers just to see what happens. An EUS with the B3U on it, or B3 PM, I think is what they call it. That's what the wiki said. I'd be curious. That might be able to do it. It's possible. Okay, Clayton. No problem. PM is the new Shepard engine? Now I'm really confused. Have we seen a B3U being shipped? I don't think so. Either way, let's get to the good stuff. So, this is the NS-36 mission that did launch yesterday.
Feet?
I'm sorry, I can't listen to Bluescast. It's so bad. Doing TWR calculations probably from 1.1 to 1.6 tons. I don't know, large delta in the mass. Yeah. Figure 2... I don't know, figure 2 tons. Let's see what... I mean... 4R10s is a little over a metric ton. Oh, hello. Very nice. Very nice. Is the SPMT going somewhere? No. The noise, the construction site noise that you're hearing in the background of Starbase Live, they're starting to stage the tower cranes to build the Gigabay. And the Star Factory door is opening right now. Why is TWR important on your second stage? Can't it just burn for a little while longer? Yeah. Sure. And then you miss the moon. So, Driados, remember, with manned spaceflight, it's not about just having the most amount of delta V. You have to have a trade-off, because your life support systems can only support a mission that goes so long, right? The other thing to take into account is that if you have a lunar lander that has like a 0.2 TWR and you go to try to land on the moon, you're not going to slow down in time. You have the delta V to land, but if it, you start PDI, right, powered descent initiation, right, and it takes about 5 minutes from there, and your rocket, because it has low TWR but extremely high delta V, it has the delta V to do it, but it's going to take 10 minutes to slow down that much. Well, guess what? The moon's not going to get out of the way for you. So some maneuvers, translunar injection, powered descent initiation, landing on the moon, capturing the moon, are really, really dependent on being able to change your velocity in a certain amount of time, or else you go right past. How many G's does that booster pull during the hover slam? I'd probably say it's somewhere around 9 wild. If I saw how that thing stopped and kind of just whoop, it's probably 9, but it's probably only for a second. Yeah, second stage orbital insertion. Yeah, so Driados, delta V isn't the name of the game. You need thrust, you need to have TWR. You need to have a good thrust to weight ratio so you can do the maneuver in time before you get pulled in by a grav well or crash into the surface or miss the planet that you're trying to rendezvous with. That absolutely is a big deal. It's a big deal in the case of lunar exploration, right? Because one, your environmental control systems on your capsule or whatever you're sending out there only last a certain amount of time. Until we have a base where the capsule or lander or something can resupply, yeah, you're kind of bound by that. There's not much getting around that. And I know what people are going to say. Why don't you just give it bigger life support systems? Okay, that's more consumables to carry. That makes your capsule super freaking heavy, right? You would design your life support systems around, basically, you have mass restrictions on the capsule. Especially, it depends on what the capsule's going on, too. But yeah, that is kind of your bottleneck. That is a huge stakeholder expectation for your mission architecture. And this is the other thing that I can't stand. That's the other thing I can't stand about the Artemis program. You designed Orion to have this loiter capability for what? What is the point? What, so you can land on the moon? With what? See what I mean? No lander in the architecture. They designed the capsule with no lander in the architecture, then had to retrofit it to somehow make the lander work. So now your lander's Starship HLS. I guarantee you the Orion engineers did not take into account that they'd be docking with a lander that's 100 tons. And, well, not 100 tons. It can move 100 tons down to the surface. When the Gigabay is done, do you think SpaceX will demolish Megabay 1 and 2 and make a Mega Gigabay? No, I think they'll keep the multimeter, probably for storage, if I had to guess. The loiter capability feels like a holdover from Constellation. Bingo. Loiter capability was because Constellation used an EOR-style architecture, where the capsule went up on Ares 1, and the lander and your exploration, Earth departure stage, it was called EDS. Your Earth departure stage get launched. And then Orion docks with the lander and the upper stage, and then they send that whole kit and caboodle out to the moon, Apollo style. The reason why they did that way, fellas, was to make it so their super heavy launch vehicle, Ares 5, did not have to be human rated. That was their way of getting around that, which is actually pretty smart. Because then you can make a rocket with RS-68s on the back, right? That can throw 200 tons in a 10-meter fairing into low Earth orbit. Actually, really useful capability. Now, the flip side of that is that I wouldn't mind doing that with SLS. 8.4 meter fairing, that should be good enough to put a big lander in there. You know, Blue Moon Mark II, perhaps. Launch Orion on something else. On New Glenn, frickin'. New Glenn, Vulcan, Falcon Heavy. Something. That's what I mean when I say, you know, if we're going to hit the reset button and we're going to make the new goal, get back to the moon before China, right, in 2028. Do we have good architecture for it now? No, we do not. Will we have good do we have the tools to make good architecture? Oh yeah, absolutely. There's absolutely enough hardware floating around in the commercial market right now to make a really, really good, healthy, robust lunar exploration program. And this is not like, guys, to be honest with you, this isn't even including Starship. I'm talking Starship notwithstanding. Between New Glenn, Falcon Heavy, Falcon 9, and SLS, you can make an insanely good and robust lunar exploration architecture. The big thing is you need a lander. That's the problem. Why don't you just pick up the house and move it over there? Did you hear about them thinking about cutting up Discovery and transporting it? Yes, waste of money and time, probably not going to happen, just political blowharding. If it turns into anything but that, I'll let you know. Now, let's get on to the rest of the space news. That was a good discussion. Here, check this out. Vast has a new video, but it has music in it, so we can't listen to it, but let's watch it anyway. The clock is ticking on the International Space Station. We need to have a replacement. And where better to do it than here? I mean, you're going to replace the ISS by sending this to Mars? Like, where else would you do it? I think he's talking about at Vast. But also, I wanted to make a funny joke. Hopefully I got a smirk out of you. You should read it in the epic voice. They should turn one of the megabays into a museum and put old flight hardware in it. What a bad idea. Voiceover man? Alright. Completing the final well marks the completion of Haven 1's flight primary structure. This is the first primary structure made in the United States for a space station in over 20 years. This is the successor to our qualification hall, and this is the one that we will be sending into space. The primary structure is a pretty complicated geometry, and that means every one of these welds has special characteristics and special things we have to pay attention to when we're welding them. The best way to learn something is by doing. And so we used Pathfinder to set a foundation in what we understand about how to build a primary structure. The Pathfinder and qualification articles helped us build our processes, our team, and our infrastructure. Building a qualification article and testing it is crucial for us at FAST, because it tells us that we should have the confidence in the analysis that we've done. This isn't the thing to read a movie voice. Read with the movie voice, dudes. This program is brought to you by Dome Hippo. What? Need to switch to the female voice? I don't think I can make my voice do that. Yeah, nope. Can do a lot of voices. Can't probably... Yep, nope, probably can't do that. Given that one is made with American-made hardware. Built by really talented technicians. Welders, engineers, and inspectors. After seeing C6 being welded, I was super excited. I do believe that people that work at VAST... I do believe in the people that work at VAST. I believe in the mission and putting all the sweat and passion into what I do every day. Ah, TIG welding. Nice. Can't do the Bill voice, though. No, they're talking too fast. Oh, that actually is super cool, though. Once all of our testing is done at Mojave, Haven 1 is going to come back here to Long Beach, and we're going to keep going, integrating all of our other subsystems. We're learning and building faster because everything we're doing happens in-house. Were those Clecos? No, just hex bolts. Those are cool, too. The ability to walk over to somebody's desk and ask them to come down to the floor and see the problem that we're having has been hugely beneficial. We're able to maintain safety as we accelerate cycle time. We get better at machining, we get better at welding, we get better at better systems. It results in a better vehicle. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, welcome to the football game here. And I'll tell you, we're really in for a good football game today. When you have great players playing great football, you're going to get a really good football game. And the team that scores the most points is most likely going to win. And we'll see today in the game here who scores the most points. Because whoever scores the most points, I'll tell you, is probably going to win this game. The day I'm looking to forward the most is when the vehicle sitting behind me is fully integrated, sitting on top of a Falcon 9 in Florida. And the launch countdown clock begins. Scott Manley voice? Okay, so much meaning in wanting to change the course of space exploration for all of humanity and permanently influence our relationship with the solar system. Music. VAST. V-A-S-T. That's bad? What do you mean bad? This Scott Manley voice, you cannot not have a good day. Your Scott Manley impression. Well, I'm gonna have to kind of disagree with you. I think that my Scott Manley voice is actually quite good. It's Mott Scanley. That's a Mott Scanley impression. Scott is easier to get down because he's been living in the United States so long. It's just hint of Scottish at this point. He doesn't sound like one of my moderators, Tessu. When he talks, he sounds like a dog with peanut butter stuck to the top of his mouth. Hey, EJ, I'm gonna need you to come over here and that's the only get me. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that, man. Sure. I don't think Tess is even here. Anyway, so hear me out. Just shove Haven 1 out to lunar orbit as a replacement for Gateway. Add the service module. Already almost built and we're good to go. All right, what did he say? He said, as Nedginez, he doesn't understand what Reaper's moaning about. We're going to see nothing of only Wumbo. AKA Jay, boys. I can understand Jay. I've never really had a problem under him. Anyway. What's this? Sea mine. Ding! She's a load of junk. Alright. So Trey, you want to shoot Haven 1 out there? You need Falcon Heavy to do that. And then it would need something that would be more suited to circularization. I'm not sure. We'd really need to see the numbers on Haven 1's Delta V. What's its total Delta V? Because, I mean, theoretically it's possible. You could do that. Ah, boy, I'm the way you make it. What? You like to see people naked? What? No, man, the way you make it. Everybody know that. Damn, boy. That's right. Boom! Deactivated. You can understand him fine very much as well. Had lunch with him last year. I never had a problem understanding Jay. Now, some other NSF people are like, I didn't get that. Anyway, that's a great update vid from Best. Can I actually, like, look at some of the pictures here? Let me see. So, okay. So this is all billet. So how they would make this, guys, is you talk to that guy first. That guy that dude looks like Rick Moranis. Anyway, okay, so these all start as thick sheets of aluminum, and when I say thick, they're about, like, let's say 25 mil, 25.4 millimeter. It's probably inch thick if I had to guess, and they cut all that design into it, and then they put it through a stamping brake. So just the brake does this. Right, it keeps mashing the thing, and eventually it makes a concave segment, and then they bring a bunch of concave segments together. It looks like 4 of them, and they use that to make the station barrel segments. That's what those are. Now the cones, I'm not 100% sure how you would make that. I know how you would make these. The conic segments probably are done the same way. But the press, it's not a press brake. The metal brake that they're using is probably a little more hardcore than the ones that make that, or it could all be done on the same thing. I don't know. Once you have all the barrel segments, right, you have to do a stir weld. It looks, actually, no, they're not stir welding. It looks like they're TIG welding. You butt the segments up together, and you make sure you have enough clearance for the weld to fill. If you're using a TIG, you wouldn't put the barrel segments like completely up against each other. You would leave a little bit of space. Let's actually see if they space them in that footage. Let me see. It doesn't look like they... hold on. Rick Moranis. The rings are stir welded. The segments are TIGged. Maybe. So, I don't know, John. It's hard. Like, let me look at it. I was reading the copy when I was talking about it. But see this thing, guys? This thing is a giant rotisserie. So what they're going to do, this tool right here can actually move anywhere on a 2D plane. So it can go back and forth and up and down. And it probably has some forward capability. Like, you'd probably go forward to weld these smaller segments. But the front and the back of the station and the two rails right there are attached entirely. It's a big rotisserie, and it rotates it. And the welding rod stays there as they rotate it, and they just keep rotating the station, right? And the welder just sits there. Once again, John, it looked like a TIG welder from what I saw, but let me see if I can get a close up of that welding jig that they're using. You see, in the animation here, they show the welds going around it. In reality, what they do is rotate the station, and the welding rod stays stationary, and they just rotate the dang thing. My, here comes the fuzz. We're still on Hot Fuzz stuff? Dude, I talk Hot Fuzz. I love that. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies. What's the thing on the end of the station on the welder shot? That is part of the rotisserie. This thing is part of the rotisserie mechanism. It's a rail. There's three of them. 1, 2, 3. These are on rollers. See the rollers down there? That's actually how they move the thing. They move it around with this. And you can see that the rollers are actually on a track, and they can move them back and forth to join the segments together in preparation for welding. This thing back here on the other end of the station is the rotisserie. That's what's moving. And these things just roll on the wheels. 1, 2, and 3. They just roll. It's like train rails, only the opposite. And that it rotates the whole thing. Every company calls these things something a little bit different. I call them processing rings. Falcon 9 has something like that. Falcon 9 has that thing. They have one that clamps around the interstage. And then there's another one that clamps to the engine section. So you can put Falcon 9 like in a HIF onto these processing rings, and you can rotate the stage if you need to put like a new landing leg in, or if you need to install an engine or something. Like say the booster's on its side and the engine at the very top of the booster is the one that's not working. They'll rotate it down, pull the thing out, and put another one in. See last before I get arrested. Something. Nice, Baron. Let's see if we can get a shot of. So there's their. John, that looks like TIG welding, dude. That looks like they just straight TIG welded their segments together. Dude, I'm seeing a bead. See that? But those are the horizontals, you know, not the barrel segment. That's their dynamic test stand. It's a can crusher. So there's one of the rings, and that's them rotating it, and that's them joining two segments together. Have you tried TIG yet? No. All right, what do we think, boys? That looks like a TIG welding rig to me. See, those are your rings right there. See, okay, so the dead giveaway here, guys. Do you see how the thing's moving? It's moving back and forth. It's doing this. Right? See how it's doing that? That's laying a bead. So the welder, it's not doing this, it's doing that. It's kind of making up frowny faces, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That looks like TIG to me. They have a guy on the... There's a guy inside of the thing looking at the penetration on the weld on the other side. Dude, that TIG's probably using a good amount of power to pen through aluminum that thick. Well, then again, it is aluminum. It's the butter of freaking metals. Oh, welding is sick, Terminator. There's a reason why in the shop I do welding streams, like when we're working on the car. If you look on the left side of the car over there, I have a Lincoln 180. I've been getting pretty damn good at MIG welding. I love fusing metal together. It's like something that is very, very satisfying. It's very satisfying. I love it. Why not stir weld all of it? Trey, I don't have an answer for you there. My guess would be TIG welding. Cheaper. The module's probably a little heavier, for sure. It's probably a little heavier, but it's cheaper. TIG is very simple. It's very well understood. Yeah, see, look, fellas, there's a feed rod. See the feed mechanism right there? That's absolutely a TIG welder. So, yep, there's your tungsten tip right there. This is and then there's the camera inspecting the weld. So how tungsten inert gas or TIG welding works is, see, you have a feed rod right here, and basically what you do is if you had the TIG welder, right, you had this thing, so you could hold that thing in your hand. You put it above what you're trying to weld. You probably space it by this much, and then you take it makes an arc, right? It'll make an arc of electricity, and then you feed the rod into that, and the rod hits the arc and it melts into position. It's kind of like soldering, but with high voltage, like super high voltage and gas. Maybe brazing would probably be a better example. It's like brazing, but with electricity. But that's the idea. So why TIG weld? Why would you do that over like a MIG welder or a stick welder or whatever? TIG welding is used in low heat applications. So you'd use it on aluminum, for instance. Because if you used a MIG welder with this, it would probably work, but you'd really run the risk of warping the aluminum. Same with stainless. SpaceX has to TIG weld Starship segments together, because if you did it with a MIG welder, it would bend the stainless steel. With stir welding, you have to have something on the other side to press against. Yeah, maybe, Andrew. Guys, they did this because it's cheaper. Not cheaper as in like it's cheap, it's a piece of junk, it's not going to pass engineering testing. They did this because industry does a lot more TIG welding than stir welding. Okay? Stir welding will get you the lightest weld. Stir welding is not an additive process. You use friction to heat up two plates of aluminum and basically stir them together. That's how stir welding works. But there's a lot more TIG welders out there than there are stir welders. That's probably why Vast is doing that way. I bet you this was way cheaper to make than a stir welding jig. I don't want to say cheap. I don't want to get that construed. Less expensive. Cheap implies bad quality. This is not bad quality. TIG welding is just fine. The Saturn V was TIG welded together. That worked. Cost effective. Yep. The backing part for stir welding can be a T-shaped bit attached to the end of the probe. Yeah. Yeah, cost effective, we'll say. Yeah, F1 engines were brazed. RL10s are still brazed together. They're using brazed tubes to make RL10s to this day. They've very recently moved to the CX series of RL10s, which is an additive. It's an additive combustion chamber instead of brazed tubes. Stir welding needs a production line to make sense. Yep. An interesting part of TIG welding aluminum is not only does it require AC instead of DC, the tungsten has to be balled up instead of sharp like steel. Mm-hmm. RL10, braze it. Okay. All right, Kuji, I'll give you that. That works. Yeah, that works. Sure. Hey, I have a clamp like that. All right. So that guy is working on pneumatic lines. This thing right here with the clamp and everything, that is he's a line bender. Those could be pneumatic lines. They could be propellant lines for thrusters. You see all these all the holders for the wires, like, or for the pipes right there. This is a jig. So you bend it and then you'd put it in the jig to like weld stuff together. Oh yeah, I'm a clamp appreciator, dude. Tubes. For a Ford Fusion. Dude. I gotta show you guys I gotta show you guys what broke. It's ridiculous. But are you a Vice enjoyer? I like old Vices, Sig. I love old tools. Old tools make me happy. Yeah. Oh, wait. What do we got here? So this is in a CNC machine, and whatever they're doing, whatever process they're doing there, they're trying to control heat. You could tell because they are hosing that thing down with coolant. So they're boring a hole in that part, and they're very worried about heat. That's why, actually, that's the end of the machining process. So they just drilled it, and then they hosed it with coolant to cool it off. Yep, TIG welding. Yep. I wonder what that guy... That guy might be tacking the modules into place before they hit it with the fixture jig. Does he have feed rod? Yeah, he's feeding. He's got the rod in his left hand. You can actually see it. Right there. You can tack weld with a TIG welder without feeding the rod. You can just zap it real quick and it'll meld together. Yeah, he's tacking. So what that guy is doing... They're gonna line this thing. See the jig right here, the yellow and black thing. They line the modules up, they butt them against each other, but they leave a little bit of space in between it. I'm talking about like 1 to 2 millimeter at best. It's not a lot. It's just enough for the weld to fill, right? Because if you butted the plates up together and then went to weld them, you would just weld the top of the plate, right? If you leave a little space, the weld will basically melt into the gap. It'll go into the crevice, and yeah, it'll make it stronger because more surface area of the weld is being used to butt the plates together. Yeah, he's tacking it in place to make sure that it doesn't move when they go to rotate the dang thing. Yeah, that's what that dude's doing. He's tacking a space station module together. That's pretty damn cool. I'd do that. That sounds like a pretty good job. It looks like it has rounded edges. It might not even be conical overall. Yeah. Rick Moranis. Oh, never mind. The blast was for chip clearing, I'm pretty sure. Possible. Yeah, you're probably right, Aqualex. But that part was already hosed with coolant when they drilled it anyway. But coolant can be used to clean stuff. You can use it to clean. You're probably right. Now that I'm thinking about it, you're probably right. But that part was hosed with coolant. Lovey,
this is Space.
Gift a sub to WGT Hard Flip 1. Thanks, Fluffy. Was that a Rogue Birdman reference? Yes. Falcon. Broken. Typically on tool change machines will purge cooling lines. Yep. You know what I'd really want? I'd want to, and I've always said this on stream. I want to see that, see this. I don't, going to the moon, that'd be sick. Going to Mars, that'd be awesome. I'd do it if like the opportunity was there. I just want to see that, just once. Just want to see that with my eyes, just once. And then preferably heavy metal by Don Felder being played in the background, like in the space station. That it'd be, that'd be good. Won't you take a ride? That song summons zombies? I'm alone in a space station module. Don't worry about that. I stumbled onto the channel. Cars, spaceships, welding. I'm in. That's what I do, dude. Actually, my bio on X usually pretty much describes like what I'm about. Twitch TV partner, rockets, airplanes, cars, trains, factories. We should put welding on there too. But that's the idea. That's what we do. This is what we do, man. Actually, Echoes by Pink Floyd. David, yeah. Either that or Us and Them. Us and Them would be my, like, on-orbit soundtrack. That and Planet Caravan by Black Sabbath. You know what I'm talking about? Who knows what I'm talking about? DM2? You know what I'm talking about. Oh. Welding now. The fancy peeps call it additive manufacturing nowadays. Yeah, okay. Car maker with how much you have to make from scratch for the car. Yeah, thing was that supposed to be a joke? Because I mean, nothing you said was wrong. Like, was that supposed to be a joke? There was no car back there. We've rebuilt the back of that stupid car. Should make a 90-minute playlist. Touche. Is the dark side of the moon cliche? I wouldn't listen to that. No, Us and Them would be my Pink Floyd go-to. Us and Them, Planet Caravan, heavy metal. Oh, man. Walking on the Moon by the Police. That would be another one. Hardflip is an E7 underwater welder for the Navy. No way, dude! Oh, bro, underwater welding? That's awesome, man. That's super cool. Now, Hardflip, I'm not the best welder, dude. I can zap stuff together. I'm just understanding the technique. But underwater welding? Bro, I bow down. I bow down to your superior skills. Magic carpet ride? Yeah. Underwater welding is hardcore, man. That's awesome, dude. Super cool. Thank you. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. That's a big module. Fly me to the moon? Yeah. Hold on. Hold on. We got sounds like a CBR 600. Hold on. The guy drove by. Hold up. Oh, there we go. I see you, Mr. Bike Man. I can't tell. Enhance. That fits in a Falcon 9? Yeah, cheeseburger. Yes, it does. Shine on you, crazy diamond. Yeah. Now we're talking, Dave. That's a good one. Yeah. It's a Hayabusa? Yeah. Yeah, the tail, right? The tail's how you tell. I'm not the best with bikes, dudes. Yeah, they're putting together the tower cranes, guys, to build the Gigabay. Which means they're gonna start putting I-beams down. That's what that is. That's the tower crane. Hold on, we'll listen to it again. He missed a shift, pal. Or he's downshifting. He's probably downshifting. Actually, speaking of welding, dude, there's guys stick welding right there. Or he's rev bombing for fun. I would... If I worked at Starbase and I knew that CP11, the camera was there, I would rev that engine. I would rev the engine every time I go by. Yep, I'd do it. I'm sorry, I would. And I'd be like, yeah, you know. I don't blame him. Blue is welding, orange, red is cutting. I don't know, Hard Flip. You think we got some blue right there? They are putting the... So SpaceX is putting the cladding on their launch pad. They're putting all the covers on. I'd say that that dude's probably... Nice. That wasn't a boost of the tails wrong. You'd say a Jixer? Jixer. I think they're stick welding that thing together, if I had to guess, because stick welding, because the steel is like thick. Out of curiosity, how does the construction process work for the Gigabay here? You mentioned I-beams. What else goes into it? Thanks. Let me get you some flyover pictures of the one at the Cape, because the one at the Cape is further along and it's from the top down. I'd have to go find it. But anyway, that's Starbase Live. That's my buddies over at NSF. Here, let's get back to... Actually, we opened up to RGB aerial pictures. They're almost done, dude. Almost done. Look at that pad. That looks awesome. That's some flame trench right there, dude. You have a Ducati 1299? A 1299. Nader, is that the one with the lights on, with the two headlights on top of each other? Like it's an over-under on a 1299? You think we'll get Flight 12 by the end of the year? That's... Oh, I don't know, man. Black hole sun. Nice, nice. But only during a burn. I'm sure he's rolling some 7018 multi-pass. Yep. No, they're side-by-side slit style. Yeah, that's cool too. Oh, you know what? This'll work. Ari, check this out, buddy. Okay, so your Gigabay. Okay, they've been putting down concrete. You see, they started putting down concrete here. They have what that's called the slab. Okay, you put down a slab. Now you can only make the slab so big. You're not going to do the whole thing all at once, right? And you could see that they're going to have slabs down here. Actually, this whole thing is going to be encased in concrete, basically. They're going to have slabs and everything. And you see that they're leaving provisions for what's called footings. Now, the footings here are what is going to be what the I-beams, the vertical structure, like the structure of the building, that's what it's going to be anchored to. The footings go down a little bit deeper than the slab, which is why you see there's different what's called forms. These are concrete forms. The different forms for the slab, for different things of concrete. The footings go down a little bit further, right? Slab. How hard would it be to engineer your TLI burns to be exactly as long as Fly Me to the Moon? Remember we were talking about B3Us a little bit earlier? That. Hey, AJ, what's up, man? What do you think will happen, New Glenn or the first Block 3 launch? I think New Glenn's will happen before Block 3. So, yeah, Ari, this is kind of an... This RGV picture is actually a little bit old, to be honest with you. This is not... they're further along. Now, to build the Gigabay, you're going to need a tower crane. And that's what we see on Starbase Live here. So, see these boxes right here? There's another one right there. And this telescoping crane right here is going to pick... Actually, he's moving. He's pulling the block up. Why is he pulling the block up? That thing is going to pick up that segment, and they're going to stack it on top of this. Now, that crane segment is... You should be able to see a temporary footing for the tower crane. It should be somewhere in here. They made a footing, an individual footing for the crane, so it's anchored into the slab, which is, Ari, that's why they poured that slab first, because they put the tower crane in, so you can do two processes at once. You can start stacking on the footings that are cured, and you can keep pouring. There it is. See it right there? That's it. Thank you, guys. It's in the top center bay here. See that little square? That's what that thing right there is stacked on. Obviously, that's an old picture because the concrete is there because they stacked a crane on it. You wouldn't stack it on wet concrete. Because Goalie is going to drive it down I-4 for funsies. Yeah, right. Why don't they use crawler cranes? Why don't they use crawler cranes? Any specific reason? I don't think you're going to be able to fit a crawler crane in here. Hey, RJ, 90-month resub. Thanks, man. I'll get better, dude. I swear. I swear. This is not me like dicking around on my phone, being late. I swear. I swear. You have my word. I swear, dude. We'll do it. Have you seen the self-stacking method for tower cranes, where they inchworm themselves up? Yeah, that's super cool. So crawler cranes are used very, they're used, actually, that's exactly what we're seeing. They're used very, there are certain applications for those things. Tower cranes are good at building buildings. They're good at building stuff that's not necessarily heavy, but really tall. That's why they call the tower crane. Now, you can make that doesn't mean you can't make a crawler crane, a lattice crawler, build a building. Lattice crawler cranes built the mega bays, if I'm remembering right. But, you gotta remember, the Gigabay is gonna be up here somewhere. There will be a Gigabay right here. It's taller, it's gonna be way taller than the mega bays. My guess is that there is not a lattice crawler crane configuration that's designed to have that level of loof and that level of height. You could probably, there's probably a solution there, but the other thing about the lattice crawler crane is that how are you going to fit it in there? So say you build out, right? You build out all the structure, right? You build out all of this. How is the crane? If your lattice crawler is right here, the whole crane has to turn. How is it going to turn in there when all this structure is built? A tower crane is a much better application here. Hey, Shaw, you subbed over on YouTube as well? All right. Thank you. I appreciate the double dip, man. Do we have one that's later, Foz? Oh, yes. Here we go. Do you have any pics of them building Mega Bay 2? I don't. We'd have to go back into the archives, but... Oh, from the Florida Bay. No, that's an older photo. Here, let's see if we can get... Yeah. Okay, Ari, check this out, dude. Now, Florida's ahead of the Texas Gigabay, but see, from here, like I said, tower cranes are not necessarily good at lifting things that are really, really heavy. They're good at lifting smaller pieces very, very high up in the air. So they're really good for building a skyscraper. I mean, this thing, for all intents and purposes, is a skyscraper. It's a skyscraper that they're going to build spaceships inside of, right? So in Florida, they already have the provisions for all the cranes. They already poured the footing for the tower cranes, right? And from here, it's just pieces that need to be put together. Now, if you notice some of these metal rods right here, I say metal rods, these are I-beams. Some of them have a square flange on them. That's what that piece is called. That's a square flange. That is going to go into the concrete footing. Now, check it out. You see the footings right there? What do the footings have? Well, what they did was they put bolts, not bolts, it's threaded rod. They put threaded rod in the concrete and then left it there. And the concrete cured around the threaded rod. If I had to guess, the threaded rod is probably anchored into the rebar, because this is all reinforced concrete. So, Ari, another thing if you want to learn, I love this stuff, dude. The construction is like, that's what I would be doing if I wasn't a streamer. You know? So is there any lattice in this? No. Look at Florida's, look at how thick some of these slabs are. Ari, take a look. Dude, that's a meter thick concrete, dude. Look at it. I mean, look at it next to the stanchion. The stanchion's a meter tall. That is thick boy concrete, dude. That's like atomic blast surviving concrete. Their J's anchor bolts tie into the bar. Thanks, Hardflip. Yeah, that's what I figured, man. Let me see. Let me bring back some. So check this out, man. Dave became a flight controller too. Thank you very much. So see all that? That is what's called rebar lattice. I have a bit of rebar in my shop. Give me 1 second. I'll show you. I don't know why I never bothered to show you guys this. So check this out. This is rebar. Now, the stuff that SpaceX is using in the Gigabay is thicker than this, but notice that it has all these ribs on it. That's to make it so it doesn't bend. It won't bend. All this ribbing in the line, or in the rod, makes it really, really strong. It doesn't bend. It won't move. Now, what they would do, you put the rebar in, and then you'd have a crossbar, and then you'd have a down bar, right? And then you'd have a cross here, down there, and they basically make a web of rebar, and then you tie them together. You tie them off with just twine, like steel line. Nowadays, they use a tool. So, like, if there was another piece of rebar going here, you have a tool that just, you put on it, and it just, and it ties it together. Old school dudes had to do it by hand. You sit there and twist tie this damn stuff together, right? And you make kind of a 3D grid of rebar. Right, now, keep in mind, that's meter thick concrete, so their rebar is probably twice as thick. If I had to guess, it's probably twice or half the gauge of this, which means it's twice as thick. Right? This is tiny rebar. This is maybe a ½ inch. Maybe. Nah, a little bit more than that. Either way, this stuff is what that lattice stuff is right there. That's what all that stuff is. And then they pour the concrete onto the lattice of metal. What that does is it strengthens the concrete. The concrete basically has something to grasp onto and hold it in position, and it's very, very compression resistant, meaning it means you can move heavy things on it. That's the right way of saying it. That's what reinforced concrete is for. This is more than a ½ inch. Maybe 5/8, dude. Maybe. Anyway. 2-inch, you say, Strickler? Yeah, I believe that. There, yeah, it's got to hold up something that's called super heavy. It's pretty thick. So those bolts, check it out. The threaded rod here that I was talking about, Max took this picture. The threaded rod that's popping out is anchored. They tied it to the rebar lattice, so it's not going anywhere. And if you look at the flange plates on the rods, like I was telling you, they have holes in them, and the tower crane will basically put them on here, and they will bolt that thing down to the concrete. Now note that some have different shapes. Different shapes denote different parts, right? So check it out. The square flanges, the straight square flanges, are probably these parts right here that are in between your processing bays. Now look, SpaceX has a pass-through here. There's a pass-through. There's going to be a pass-through between the bays right there. And you can see that these rods right here are in between each processing bay. So a Starship will be right here, another Starship will be right here, and another Starship will be right there. That denotes the different plates, because some of them are 45'd, right? So a thicker flange plate means you have a crossbar, you have triangulation here. In building and structure, triangulation makes it so the building doesn't flex, it doesn't go back and forth. Having a triangulated bar makes it really, really strong, because triangles are mechanically stronger than a square. I suppose that's the right way to say it. Rebar is 1/8 inch, so 1/8 equals 1 bar. 2 bars, quarter, 8 bars, 1 inch. Oh, thanks, Hardflip. Hell yeah, man. I'm always down to learn more about this stuff, dude. This stuff's awesome. Now, so check it out. If you look at the top, if you guys look at the tops of these, they have bolt holes in them. See that? They have bolt holes. So there are going to be pieces stacked on top of this. I mean, obviously, the thing's going to go that way for about another 500 feet. Maybe not 500 feet. Let's say 300. It's not as big as the VAB. But, yeah. Some of these bars over here have the flaps on them. So this piece right here, the one that they've staged, that guy has a long flange on it, a long ground flange, and then you see basically a 30-degree up right there, and then a horizontal here, and then there's another tab up here for another plate. So that beam is one of these. It's one of those guys, the ones that are on the end right there. It's probably those, if I had to guess. These beams, 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4, 5, and 6 are probably this stuff right here. They're probably going to place them down there, there, and there. Once again, just a guess. But all of this, all of the beams and all of the crossbars over here are for building this. So you could see they have stringers right here, or basically the I guess home over equivalent of a joist. There's all the joists over there. That's going to make floors on the building. What is this building going to be used for? Mock, this is the Gigabay. SpaceX, it's going to, well, I don't have a better way of saying this. It's a production line for starships. It's an assembly line for starships. You can see where the dirt is right here? Starships are going to move down that freaking line on SPMTs, and they get put into processing bays. See, you could see kind of one right there. So from like right here to right there, this whole area where the stanchions are, that's processing bay. So they'll bring one in, bring it into a processing bay, take it out, put it in the next one, take it out, put it in the next one. And then by the end of the processing line over here, a Starship will roll out. This right here is your production line for Starship. And that one over there where the crane is on the other side of the Gigabay, going this way, super heavy. It is a production line for spacecraft. That's what this building is. And how far is this building from the launch site? So this one is at the Cape. This is Roberts Road. It's actually down the street from the VAB, dude. What's the difference in height between the two gigabays? The one at the Cape and the one in Boca Chica are the exact same design. And I have a theory that the Florida crew is racing against the Texas crew to see who can get it done faster. I'm serious. I think they're the same design. I think they're both started building them around the same time. And I think they're racing to see who can get it done faster. Right now, the Cape's in the lead. So, Mock, this thing... So Starship's launch pad that SpaceX is working on is right there. This is an old picture. This was from April of this year. The pad is way more complete than that. I can't say how I know that. Let's just say they're getting ready to put the OLM on the flame trench for the 39A pad, and just leave it at that. So the Roberts Road facility, where I just showed you, is right there. It's brush in this picture, but if we do that, yeah, no, the construction site is right there. It's nothing. It's nothing in these pictures. Yeah, SpaceX. So SpaceX has the Falcon 9 processing area called Hangar X. This is where they turn around the boosters. And nowadays, they turn around the booster and attach upper stages to them and then ship the first and second stage out to the integration facilities, the launch pads. Yes, they ship the first stage from here with the second stage attached. Yeah, pretty cool. Over here is where they're building the OLM for 39A. They were going to build a mega bay here at one point. You could still see where the footings were for it, but they got rid of that. There's tents set up here, and they're building the OLM. Over here is where they build, well, you guessed it, tower segments and chopsticks for the catching and integration array for Mechazilla. Over here, I've heard about what this building does, but I'm not 100% sure. I think they make Starship tiles in there, I think. I don't know for sure, though. This is Ford Motor Company, 100 years ago, but with spaceships, dude. With freaking spaceships! Oh, it's so badass, man. So freaking cool. So, over here, that's where the Gigabay is going to go. And then there's going to be a giant factory. SpaceX is going to build another Starship factory over here. And it's going to be about this big. That's the plot of land that they got for the Gigabay and everything. It's quite large. Yeah, that's this. So the road is over there in this picture. No, strike that, reverse it. Yeah, it's hard to tell. Hold on, let me see if I can see any other of Max's pictures. Yeah, the road is that way. So the Roberts Road is right over here. Got huge tracts of land. But yeah, man, it's a big erector set, dudes. That's really what it is. It's a big erector set. And then when the tower crane needs to be heightened, they'll take another crane, pluck the house. This thing is called the house and the pin and the counterweight, and then the boom. They'll just pluck it off and put another segment on and keep going. Or it might be self-building. I don't know. I don't know that much about tower cranes. Yeah, here. This is what Roberts Road is supposed to look like. Thank you, 1,000. SpaceX is playing Factorio in real life. In Factorio, you build a factory to build a rocket to get off the planet. Like, SpaceX is playing Factorio in real life. Question, will SpaceX build like a Massey's version for the Cape? Ship watching, I do believe that part of 39A is going to be used for ship testing. If I'm understanding it right, and by understanding it, I mean I looked at a picture on Google Earth, and it looks like that's where they will do testing. Hey, Farm. Afternoon, Bubba. What's going on, man? Especially with Pad 3/39A, the Florida team has been has just been taking Starbase designs and putting their names on it. Yeah. Yeah, right, right. Hold on, what else we got here? Do you think the first V3 catch of a ship will be on Tower 1 to prevent any delays if there is a problem? Misty, I think the booster will land on Pad 2. I think ships will be caught on Pad 1. Because that's the high-risk thing. Right? That's the high-risk thing. SpaceX has caught boosters before. It's caught 3 of them. 3 is a pattern, obviously repeatable. I think that they'll use the pad to catch super heavy, and then they'll use pad A or pad 1, or that. I call it this pad, and pad 2 is that pad. They'll use this pad to catch a ship and that pad to catch a booster. That's my guess. All right, what is this? So I don't know what y'all are up to, but you can start tinkering with Battlefield 6 maps in Godot, whatever. All right, let me take a look. This is the Battlefield editor. Dude, this looks like the old Battlefield editor. You deleted the root node, buddy. Godot? Major Shake? Oh, that's where that map's supposed to be. Okay, yeah, alright. Is that the Brooklyn Bridge? It is the Brooklyn... Ah, okay, I get it. Say it like it's French. Godot, alright. Read previous, please. Check Discord. I got a photo that you can show. Oh. Dude. It seems like they really went back to basics with Battlefield 6. This looks like BF2's editor, guys. I did screw around with that thing a little bit. Yep, see, there's your hierarchy over there. You have your hierarchy, and then that's your file directory, and then you have nodes and transforms, dude. I'm gonna want to make maps for Battlefield, fellas. Is that bad? Ah, yeah, there's the Gigabay. Thank you, Trey. Starbase map. It's using Godot engine. Free open source game engine. Make a Roberts Road map? What, where you fight over the Gigabay? That would require a lot of 3D modeling, dudes. I'm not sure. How about we just take meshes that are already made and we just make a map with those? Okay? You should see the gig up close. It's insane. We were just looking at some flyover pictures, albeit from a little while ago, but I was teaching people goalie about, you know, the footings for this and the tower cranes. The crazy thing is that they're gonna have 4 tower cranes hauling tail here. There's another, you see the base for another one right there. Tower crane is built the same exact way as the freaking tower, only it has a crane at the top instead of a building. Yeah, see? They're going to have 4 of them. One over here off screen, 2, 3, and 4. That's crazy, man. How about a VAB? Yeah, right? Can you imagine fighting in the VAB? It looks small because it's so freaking gigantic. Misty, you know what's crazy? You know what gets me? Like, it's hard to see scale. Like, there's telehandlers here. Like, some people know telehandlers. Like, some people know how big a tower crane is. Some people know how big a heavy forklift is. Or a generator. Or even these I-beams here. Look at the damn porta potties. That's something everybody knows the size of. Look at the damn porta potties. They're small. They're little tiny porta potties. They're so small. They're a little tiny. They're so tiny. They're so small. Fight over the Gigabay construction? Oh, dear. Do I need to get the banana out? No, keep that away from me. According to the paperwork, it's $500 million per Gigabay. Bill, I never thought I would say this, especially to a building this big. That is pocket change for SpaceX. How did we get here, man? Do you think they're going to split half the building for Super Heavy and Starship? Yeah, you could see your production lines right here, Chip. This is for... I said that this one was for Starship. I believe that this one is for Super Heavy and that one is for Starship. Question, why 3 feet of dirt surrounding a sunken tower crane? They probably graded this, Bob, so they can move stuff around on it. But the tower crane footings will eventually be buried under another slab of concrete. Yeah, they probably just graded it so they can move stuff. And they've clearly done the same thing over here. Just compact the soil down. You don't want to pour the concrete here because you're going to be doing a lot of work. I mean, you could. How did we get here and why were we not here earlier? Good question. They nerfed the movement a lot in BF6 after the beta. There's a bunny hopping penalty that you lose accuracy the more you spam jump, and slide is similar, so it's slower. Good. I don't like bunny hopping anyway. It's not Counter-Strike. Will the 39A pad be the other pad? Yeah, exactly. That is exactly what it is. This pad, that pad, and the other pad. And 37A and B, those are the other pads. That footer is 12 by 12 by 12. For the crane? Wow. That's awesome, dude. 12 freaking feet deep? Yeah, baby. Let's go. That's 4 meters deep, fellas. That's a 4 meter deep footing for the tower cranes. It's pretty cool. But no one asked, how's the pad? Yeah, right. I mean, that should let you know how tall that tower crane is going to get. If it's a 12 foot thick slab. That's awesome. You're in the Ultra Plus Plus segment. They really optimized the game. Oh, sweet. Yeah, no, I'm going to crank that to full. We're playing that on Friday, guys. We're playing it tomorrow before Flame Trench. Oh. That's tomorrow. Will you play the campaign? Probably not. See you in the field, sir. You guys are welcome to play with me. I blame you guys for getting me into Space Engineers. It's your new crack. Yes. I'm sorry, I know we have work to do in Kerbal. I want to play Battlefield. Anyway, alright, there's still plenty more news, so I'm going to keep going with it. That looks awesome. That editor looks fantastic. So we got that. We got that. Let's start. We got Vast. Let's go over here. So PLD let's see, is a Spanish small sat, or commercial launch provider, actually, I should say. Mira 5 isn't necessarily a small sat vehicle anymore. Is now performing the first Mira 5 second stage engine qualification test campaigns. First image is the Mira 5 second stage engine qualification campaign that our propulsion team is carrying out. Ah, yes, there's some rocket engine in here. No sound. All right, let's go. We can go PLD, dude. That's awesome. All right, we got something from Rocket Lab here. We completed payload integration and encapsulation LC1 with the Synspective for our 73rd Electron mission. Next up, wet dress rehearsal for Owl New World mission before the launch window opens up on the 14th. So that's next week. Hot off the press. I got it, Baron. It's not an E-rocket. Nice. Yeah, see, they put blisters in the fairing so they could fit the satellite. See? Look, see the blisters? Because the sat was too big for the fairing, so they just made the fairing bigger. Hey, it's a box. You're not sure that's a Boeing thing? No. Rocket Lab actually launches things. What are those wheels? Those are called Mecanum wheels. Mecanum wheels basically can go side to side, forward, back. They can go diagonal. You can push them in any direction. Yep, so this is their payload attachment fitting, which is also their third stage. They made their PAF into a third stage. This goes on top of the second stage and holds the fairing and the payload together. But it also has a rocket engine attached to it. Satellite integration, baby. Yep, they're going to tilt it over and see how the satellites, they put the reliefs in the fairing, those blisters, to hold the bigger payload. All this silver stuff is MLI. It's multi-layer insulation. Payload encapsulation is done in a clean room environment, which is why it looks like a surgery room. It is like surgically sterile in that place, because you do not want contamination in your payload. All you need is a human hair that just is floating around and connects two leads on something and shorts the entire thing out. Yes, that happens. FOD. Foreign object debris. FOD is a big thing that you have to mitigate, especially with stuff that stays on orbit for long periods of time. Has the fusion? Fusion works. J-Cook, she's running. Dude, the blisters, man. That's so... Dude, I wish we could do that in Kerbal. I wish you could put blisters in the fairings like that. Look at that thing. It's so weird looking. That's cool, man. Why does Rocket Lab not broadcast haste launches? Because their customers probably don't want it to, Finn. That's 64 yards of concrete for one of those cranes. 7 trucks just dumping it all in. Jeez, Dave. That's crazy. I would have thought they would have started work on building the new OLM for Pad 1. Well, Mark, that's what I'm getting at, dude. You'd think that there would be another OLM being made at Sanchez, right? You'd think that there would be, but we haven't seen anything. Which tells me that they're going to demolish the milk stool at this pad A. And they'll keep the tower, and they'll use the tower for catching things. That's my guess. Does that mess with aerodynamics at all? No, Bellum, not really. Not as bad as you might think. So... Actually, looking at it this way would be a good... looking at it like this really kind of drives home why it doesn't. So air... See how the tip of the fairing is actually like hemispherical? It's not pointed. So what the fairing is going to do is, air is going to hit it, and it's going to get compressed up against it, and it's going to shoot out. It's going to shoot out, like initially out here, at subsonic speeds, or well, at supersonic speeds, it's going to shoot that way. And then once you start going faster and faster, it'll probably go down here somewhere. But if you look, the angle, follow the angle of this. See how the angle of the fairing changes right around here? The air, you're probably going to get flow separation on the fairing if I'm looking at this right, and your boundary layer is probably going to go past this. Yeah, it's probably going to go past it. So minimal aerodynamic perturbations, like not nearly as much as you might think. You see the angle, it kind of stays straight for a little while and then it curves. That's to minimize flow separation, but it's still going to happen at high speeds. So it'll probably separate somewhere over here and the air will go this way and then it'll come back. That's probably why they made this angle. The blisters have the angle right here. It's probably going to match the point. It probably matches where the boundary layer is at max Q. If I had it, that's just a guess. I don't know for sure. That's just a guess. It probably matches their simulation of the closest point where the boundary layer gets to the fairing. It basically occludes it. Like if you're getting flow separation before this, if at all, yeah, it's minimal amounts. Like bump drafting, but without the bump. Oh, dude, you guys don't even know. Fairing, if KSP does not... Dude, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff with here. You could do all kinds of crazy stuff with aerodynamics. My favorite one, my favorite like trick piece of aerodynamics in rocketry is this. Here, I'll show you. Let me load it up. So, Starliner, Atlas V N22. See this thing? See how Starliner has, on the service module, has what looks like a cheese grater ring around the module? See that? Like, it connects between the doghouses, which everybody knows now, especially after the CFT-1 mission. This is ridiculous. So, okay. You remember how I just told you guys about boundary layers? And at different speeds, your theta, or angle of your shock, changes. So, you leave an aerodynamic wake at higher speeds. When you get into subsonic, it has a wake. And the wake kind of visually looks like a boat, almost. But it's not. But it kind of does, but it's kind of not, right? So, the crazy thing about this is that your shock, your wake, will change. It'll change with speed. As your speed increases, your angle goes down, and it'll become more acute relative to the vehicle, right? Now, any KSP player knows if you look at an Atlas N22 from the side, that's Legos. Let's go to Gunter's page. Hold on. Of course. It's, yep. Okay. Nope. Asking me. Funny. That's great. More Legos. All right. How about we get this picture? Does this one work? That's for a paper model. Let's use ULA's official one. Actually, I think this is Timmy's. Okay, all right, this one works. Oop. So, if you look at Starliner, well, where is your boundary layer going to go off of this? Seriously, where's the wake going to go? It's going to go that way, right? And it makes insane flow separation right here, right? The air is going to get shot off this way. Right? And then at higher speeds, the wake will start basically going in this direction, and then it'll start to curve downwards, right? Now, here's the crazy part. Starliner flies with this cheese grater thing on it to make the boundary layer basically shoot out at the same angle throughout the entire phase of ascent. The wake doesn't change despite your speed exponentially increasing. The reason why it does that is because Atlas was engineered to fly with fairings. It was designed to fly with either the aluminum pointy fairing or the, aluminum honeycomb carbon fiber fairing here. It was designed to fly with this. Or the pointy 400 series fairing. Of course, I type in Atlas 5 and it brings up a picture of the stupid thing. So the crazy thing is that keeping the boundary layer, basically forcing it to shoot out at the same direction through the entire phase of ascent, aerodynamically mimics that, despite that not being attached at the top. Pretty cool, right? That thing flies like there's a pointy fairing right here. But there isn't. There's a capsule. How that works is that when you get flow separation here, it's going to create low pressure right here. It's going to create drag. A lot of drag up at the front of the vehicle is very unstable. Every Kerbal player knows that. You put wings up at the top of your vehicle, you try to fly it, it's going to flip. Now look at Starliner aerodynamically and tell me that wouldn't do that. Of course it would. But the cheese grater, that cheese grater thing on here, makes it so when the air separates, the way that thing is placed is that it makes it recirculate. See how it's angled out? It basically makes it recirculate here. And it pulls it back up. It's weird. Like, I'm not saying it right. I know I'm not saying it right. But the idea is that this thing basically flies like a pointy fairing despite not being a pointy fairing at all. Pretty cool, huh? Show the Trident arrow spike? Yeah, right. Yeah, open image in new tab doesn't work all the time, Flykin. I got blisters on my fairings. So that thing flies like a 400 series fairing, despite having no fairing. Because the cheese grater, the way it recirculates air, keeps the boundary basically at the same angle throughout the entire phase of ascent, and it makes it aerodynamically stable. There should be aerodynamically, they fooled it into, they fooled physics into thinking there's a pointy fairing there, but there isn't. Dude, you can do all kinds of cool stuff with aerodynamics. You know, if you have a fluid sim, if you're doing it in real life. That's stuff that Kerbal just won't teach. You can't do that in Kerbal. It works like a pickup bed with the tailgate up. Exactly. It doesn't seem like it's more aerodynamic, but it is. Similar, something like that. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Do you think they would need that if when Starliner starts flying on Vulcan? Yes. Just got home. Did you do any flight tests with the crew capsule today? I did not. I didn't play Kerbal. I started during Space News, John. The reason why is that I fixed the entire fusion. The fusion is fixed. I fixed all of it. I fixed everything. And then flushed the transmit. Well, there wasn't much left in the transmission. Flushed the transmission and changed the oil. And it is operable again. And I just wanted to get that out of the way so I can get back to working on the Coronet. And yeah. Last, please, is about the boundary layer. Now the boundary layer becomes more obtuse when you're a transonic. It starts up here, and then as you go faster, it moves inward. Fixed and repaired daily. If daily means once in the last 5 years, Kuju, I mean, yeah. Yeah, so there's all kinds of trick aerodynamic stuff like that. That cheese grater basically recirculates, it pulls the air back up and makes it so the shock doesn't change. And the shock mimics an Atlas 5 400 series fairing. That's the other reason why the aero skirt is here. This thing right here, the aero skirt is there so the air has somewhere to go back up and get pushed back up through the cheese grater. Once again, these aren't the technical terms for this stuff, but that is the manner of operation. That's what it does. Did you do a full transmission service? Yeah, I pulled out as much fluid as I could, Creation, once I replaced the line. Lines. Yeah, I followed Ford's flushing procedure. Did you check the wet belt? There's no wet belts, dude. Okay, quick car news. So the reason why that fitting broke off on the Fusion was because water was dripping onto it. The reason why water was dripping onto it is because the plastic clip, the retaining clip that someone put on from the factory or whatever, didn't put it on right. Here, let me show you. At least this is my running theory. I don't know this for sure, but the fitting that broke was terribly rusty. It was bad. All right, so there was rust, Aqualux. So here's a schematic of the transcooler line diagram. So this HB2 part right here, this piece, that is the piece that I replaced. It's the inlet and outlet lines that go to the coolant control valve or the oil cooler thermostat that goes into your heat exchanging element. Now, there's the cooler and then there's the heat exchanger. All right, this line connects the cooler to the exchanger. That piece, I have no freaking clue what that thing does. I have no idea. I've only able to get this far. I only got this far. So now, check this out. At the end of this piece right here, I believe, what's the piece? It doesn't matter. This thing, this curly Q thing that I said goes up and around the transmission. Because it does, and it's really annoying. What year Fusion? 2020. See that fitting right there? Right below HB4? Not part HB4. This fitting was rusty. It was rusty because there's a plastic retainer clip, 7Z465. The clip looks like this, and it retains your crimped fitting. This is rubber hose to allow the engine to move independently of the car. This is a crimp right here, and then there's a compression fitting. That's what this piece is up at the top. That conic piece. That's a compression fitting. It hooks onto the hose right here, right? And you plug the thing in, and the plastic clip retains it. The plastic clip was, so if the plastic clip is like this, it was like that in the car. My theory is that it should be like this. So if water drips down, it just drips over the plastic clip. But if that clip is upside down, water drips into it, it's going to hold the water to the line. Dude, that fitting, the conic fitting, was cracked from rust. Cracked. That thing was bound to fail. And my theory is that somebody didn't put this in, somebody didn't put the fitting in right. Somebody put it upside down. If it's like this, it's going to hold water. If it's like that, it's not going to hold anything. Water will just drip around it. Can they rotate due to vibration? Those things are pretty snug in there, but it's possible. I don't think Ford engineered that clip that well, to be honest with you. And there's two of them. The 7Z465 comes down from the control valve into the outlet line, which is this one right here. So there's two compression fittings. That fitting was fine. This one, I used a line tool, and pulled it right off, no problem. I had to take, so this thing busted right here. See where the collar is right there? That's at the end of the crimp fitting. It broke right there. I could just go get the part. I don't know why I don't. I don't want to get my hands dirty, but it doesn't matter. So that fitting broke right there. So this piece, the end piece, was still stuck on there. I had to, and it was rusty, dude. I couldn't get the line tool in there to decompress the snap ring to take the fitting off. Or, yeah, to open up the snap ring to take the fitting off. Because there's a little snap ring in there as well, in the compression fitting. Right? I couldn't get the thing off. And I sat there coating it in PB for a long time, and then I used channel locks to pull the line tool in, and after coating it with PB for a long time, actually get it to pull it right off. And I made sure I didn't wreck the flare on the pipe either. That was involved. That was a lot of work. But I did get the piece off. It's rusted to hell. The conic part is destroyed. Yeah. So water was getting in there some way or another. I don't know if could have been coolant spraying in there from the radiator. If we have a pinhole leak in the radiator, it's possible. I didn't see any coolant stains or anything. So my only running theory is that, you know, maybe we drove it through a puddle or something at some point and water got up in there, or it rained and just the way it drains, just water got up in this fitting. Dude, it looks like the Coronet. I'm not even kidding. This is a 5-year-old car. Probably like that by design. Tessa, I talked to Bill in Bill_numbers in chat. He's a good buddy of mine, actually. I've known him longer than I've been streaming. He is a mechanic, and he's the one that gave me this damn diagram. And then told me the servicing procedures, too. For, like, removing lines and whatnot. Road salt? Pig, this is the crazy thing about the car, dude. This line is... all of it is covered by the fairing. There's a fairing on the bottom of the car. It's just like a felt mat almost that covers the whole engine bay. The engine's fine. Dude, the fitting that's underneath the transmission, this one right here that connects into that, it looks brand new. Just that. Just this piece right here is rusty. Just that piece. So you know what I did? I put the fitting on. I made sure the compression fitting was snug. I put the plastic clip on with the clip facing downward and then coated it in fluid film because now I'm paranoid. I coated it in rust preventative. Not like paint rust preventative, like PB Blaster rust preventative. And I made sure we didn't get any in the lines either, guys. Like, I was very careful. That's why it took so freaking long. That's why I didn't do Kerbal today. We're going to do Kerbal for after hours, okay? That's the transaxle for the Fusion, Will. So the engine would be right here. The flex plate is right here. This is I think it's a 5-speed automatic. And then, so it's a transaxle. It's not a transmission. The reason why it's a transaxle is because the diff, see this lub thing off the back? That's the diff. A transmission with a differential attached to it is called a transaxle. If you wanted to learn cars. And this transmission actually has a third output shaft. So there's the output shaft that goes to the left front and the right front tire, and then there's the third output shaft that goes to the rear wheels because it's an all-wheel drive car. Does it carry water? No, it's a transmission fluid line. Yeah, this part was not fun to get out. That was not fun. That was not fun. I had to do it on the ground in my driveway, which is where the Fusion is gravel. So I had to. What I did was to jack the car up off the ground. I took 2 sheets of plywood, and I put plywood down, jacked the car up, and put a jack stand on the plywood so we'd spread the load so the thing didn't sink into the ground. That sucked, man. It wasn't fun. But I did get it fixed and it drives, so I don't care. Vent gets fused shut, pressure builds when hot, creates a vacuum when cold, sucking in moisture and whatnot. Yeah, possible, dude. They have a breather vent that gets fused shut. The breather didn't get fused shut on this one, but maybe, who knows? Was the part galvanized? It doesn't look galvanized to me, Geeson. It might be cheap metal. Terminator, it doesn't look like cheap metal, dude. Like, the new one looked really nice. Like, doesn't look like cheap metal to me. But, yeah, and I got a new phone. But, yeah, that's what happened with the Fusion. We snapped this thing off. Now, as to why, I don't know. I think water got into it. But, that's just a theory. So I made sure that the plastic clips are all facing downward. Well, the one underneath the transmission that's right here doesn't really matter. This piece, in reality, is like over here somewhere. It's underneath the transmission. This is just an exploded view. That clip doesn't really matter. I made sure that that one was facing down, and then once the whole fitting was attached and sealed, I coated it in fluid film. So it, that's just like waxy oil that'll just stay there, and it'll displace water, so nothing gets in there again. I don't know, dude. The thing that snapped. This? Yes. So this right here, Shaw, that's rubber hose. The rubber hose is crimped on either side. Now on this side, it's crimped to the steel line. Right? On this side, it's crimped to a compression fitting. The compression fitting picks up on that flare that's on the line right there. See how the line has two flares? It's hard to tell. Ship 26 NC remains have disappeared from the live cameras. We may have very well lost Ship 26 officially. Good. Burn it. How much did the new special coolant set you back? It's just Mercon LV transmission fluid, dude. It's a transmission cooler line, guys. It's a transmission oil cooler line. It's not a coolant line. Sorry, I should have been more specific. Most of the original transmission fluid is on the side of the highway. But it didn't bleed out the transmission completely. It bled about half of the fluid from what I can tell. These transmissions take 9 quarts. I topped it off with 4.5 and it shifts really smooth. Which tells me that the other 4.5 quarts are in the torque converter, which you're not going to drain that fluid coupling. You're not draining that unless you take the transmission apart. And I'm not doing that. I don't need to do that, so I'm not going to. Yeah, we got this car brand new, Flykin. It had 1,500 miles on the clock when we bought it. It was basically brand new. No, it was less than 1,500. That car was like brand spanking new. We got it fresh up, like brand new from the factory. Yeah, it's very strange, dude. And I take care of this car. I don't tell you guys about it. I've changed the oil for it a couple of times on stream before. I've changed it. Yeah, you guys have seen this car, but I don't talk about it too much because it's just it's Bree's car. It's Bree's regular car. That's the car that we used to go get groceries, you know? So was it the compression fitting? The compression fitting snapped off of the crimp, Shaw. And from what I can tell, it's because of rust. After all that effort, is the car at least providing you with an illusion that it's running better than before? Yeah, it runs just fine, Bob. Runs fine. I think the PCV valve might be a little bit upset for some reason. But that's not... It makes a little bit of positive pressure in the crankcase. When I went to fill it up with oil, when the motor was running, I was going to say there was blow-by, but it wasn't blow-by because it was modulating pressure. So it was going up and down. Like, you know, I took the oil filler cap off and it was going... So, I think the PCV valve is upset for some reason, and I'm not exactly sure why. But the motor runs fine. It runs fine. It's fine. I'm really stumped on that. Why the heck did that and only that rust? I don't know. Does it have an insanely loud tick? No, it does not. Which makes that even more confusing. I'm not sure what's going on with that thing. I'll have to look into it a little bit more. If so, you know how to contact the company. It's out of warranty, Erudite. It doesn't matter. Personally, I think it's jealous that you fixed the transmission cooler lines. It wants attention too. Probably. I don't even mess with PCVs. If in doubt, swap it out. Yep. Yeah, that's probably what I'll end up doing. But yeah, The car runs and drives now. We used it to go get chicken nuggets before I started streaming. Just as its test drive. It runs fine. I got it up on the highway. Got it up 60, 70 miles an hour. All the shifts were perfectly smooth, perfectly fine. Yeah. I don't know, dudes. I don't know. I don't like that I don't know exactly what caused it. Everything happens for a reason. If the car breaks, there's a reason. Because they, you know, like, they make millions of the damn things. If yours breaks, there's probably a good reason. Either somebody, you know, the design sucks, or you did something to it that made it unhappy. Like, it's one or the other. We got the Amazon launch still going tonight? Yeah, I think so, dude. But yeah, that's why I didn't play Kerbal. I just wanted to look over everything and be absolutely sure, because that's Bree's car. I can't have... If Bree breaks down during a stream, that's going to be more time away from the stream. So I took some time away from the stream to make sure that I wouldn't get more time away from the stream later. Does that make sense? You go 70 miles an hour to get chicken nuggets? Talk about some fast food. You don't? New England, there's your reason. Let's chalk it up to that one, Will, and call it a day, dude. Yeah. Anyway, you guys want to get back into space news? So Project Kuiper is not tonight. They moved it to Saturday. Saturday, October 11th. 85% go, targeting 8:41 p.m. liftoff time. Yeah, okay, you got me. You don't, dude? Weather is cracking here on the Cape. Yeah, yep. Yeah, Will, it's just very strange, dude. I don't know, man. Whatever. I mean, it fixed it and the car runs fine. It runs just as good as it did before. Hang on 1 second, I got a message. One of the fairing halves for KF-03 has flown the previous 2 Kuiper Falcon flights. Nice. That's super cool. Super cool. All right, what else do we got going on here? So we got a tweet from Firefly. Let's see what they're up to. Testing for the Blue Ghost Mission 2 continues. We've got the qualification model of our Elytra Dark vehicle and the dual payload attachment fitting on our structural test stand at Rocket Ranch to prove out static loads that we'll experience during launch. Ah, yes, a payload fairing inside of your payload fairing. Cool. Neat. Well, that's pretty neat. So there's going to be a payload on top, and then there's going to be a secondary payload in here. And what happens is they pop the top payload off, and then this thing separates, and then the other payload deploys inside. It's a fairing inside of a fairing. Only it's not a fairing, it's a structural adapter. That's what, yeah, the double attachment, double payload attachment fitting. Pretty cool. Kind of like the Silda on Ariane 5, yes. Firefly isn't the first people to do this. Ariane 5 has been doing that since the 2000s. Fun sister, hi, I just got Kerbals back from the surface of Minmus, so I'm a space exploration expert. Look at you. That was the first thing I led with, Will, when we started Space News, was the president is considering Jared Isaacman as NASA administrator again. Again. Yes, really. Yeah. They've been in talks, reportedly. This was reported by Bloomberg and CNBC, so... I try not to get excited. You got excited about Dream Chaser, Will? Yeah, yes. Yep. The way Jared managed his public communication made it seem like he knew that that was a possibility. I agree, Bill. Especially laying out your plans as NASA administrator on the podcast that he went on. Yeah, you ain't wrong, dude. Thank you for your help, by the way. The car moves, so you're good. Wait, Dream Chaser news? What do you mean, wait, Dream Chaser news? Yeah, Dream Chaser, NASA washed their hands of Dream Chaser. Here's how this went down, Thousand. NASA basically went to Sierra Space and said, hey, is that thing going to fly anytime soon? And Sierra Space said, probably not. And NASA said, you know, you're contracted for like 7 resupply missions with us, right? And Sierra's like, yeah, we know that. And NASA said, are those going to happen anytime soon? And Sierra said, yeah, no. And NASA said, all right, you call us when you're ready. Okay? And when you do 1 free flying test flight, and we'll figure out where to go from there. And Sierra Space said, yeah, okay, that's a good idea. So, Dream Chasers. So, fellas, you know, in this era of new space, right, strange things do happen. But that basically means it's not going to fly. Yeah, that's what that basically means. Yeah, that's basically what that means. Yeah, that's what that means. Stranger things have happened. I'm not giving up, but I'd say that's not flying anytime, ever. So, are they still building a second one? I don't know. Speaking of building second vehicles, check what rolled out of Blue Origin's factory at the Cape yesterday. Uh-oh. Oh, hello. Oh. So this is Glen Stage, New Glen Stage 1. So GS1, serial number 2. Blue Origin named it Never Tell Me the Odds. That's the real deal, guys. That is a flight article. That's the second New Glen first stage. And damn, does it look good. Bong. Yeah, they call it Bong. Blue Origin New Glen. Bong, number 2. Now, look at the people right here standing around. That is not a small piece of equipment. It is a big bong. And it was being pulled by a 7-ton truck. Well, an M1070, not necessarily a 7-ton. An M1070. That is a monster of a vehicle. Are they getting names from the Giraptha? Never Tell Me the Odds? That's Star Wars, dude. It's cool that it's a rocket, but the build method is not competitive. Well, can't see me. That's what I've been barking up Blue Origin's tree for the longest time. They said they were going to launch 6 of these this year, and in Q4, we've seen the second one. And now, don't get me wrong, I understand that rocket science is hard. But Blue is not using iterative design like SpaceX. They're using waterfall, which means that, you know, if they set out to do 6 and didn't do 6, that could be indicative of problems. However, it's clear that they made some type of design and production decision between this and Glenn Flight 1 back in January. There was some type of decision made that delayed this for 8 months. Now, an 8-month delay is not that big of a deal in spaceflight, but when you're not using iterative testing, saying you're going to fly 6 times and then flying maybe twice is not ideal. That's not ideal, but hey, whatever, dude. She's there. There it is. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Yep, so they're chasing waterfalls. Got it, yes. You shouldn't do that. It's the honeycomb aluminum. It's very wasteful in time and materials. Interesting. I hear Ted Cruz wants to take a chainsaw to Columbia and move it to Houston. You wouldn't need a chainsaw if you wanted to do that, Perseus. Columbia's already in pieces. Not for a good reason. It's Discovery, dude. Yeah, that's stupid. Yeah. What's that at the top right? That's Kennedy Space Center Visitor Complex, see? That is the Atlantis Pavilion. The shuttle Atlantis is in there. And there is a replica of the external tank and boosters at the entrance to the pavilion. Over there is the rocket garden. There's Titan, Delta. There's a Saturn 1B sitting on its side right there. Those are real. That's not like a mock-up like those. Those are real. There's a Delta 2. So we have Titan 2 GLV. Atlas Able, I think. Or no, Thor Able is over there. There's a Mercury Atlas replica. There's a bunch of cool stuff over there. Sorry, wrong shuttle. No, it's all good, man. It's all good. Yeah, that's dumb. That's stupid. Yeah, it's stupid. Falcon Heavy Flight 2 was a year later. NG2 is flying the same year as its debut launch. Yeah. The use case is completely different, man. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And once again, I'm not trying to say it to people think I'm like it's some like it's some kind of slight towards Blue. Like it's not. Launch it more. You said you'd launch it more, so launch it more. This is the modus operandi that I apply to every launch provider when they say they want to launch more. Okay, do it, please. Please, I insist. SpaceX, we want to launch more Super Heavy. All right. Yes, please do that. Where are they? What do you think was the holdup? Fixing the problem that prevented them from landing the first one? John, this is going to be very vague coming from me, but my guess is that they saw something on Flight 1 that was enough for them to redesign something for Flight 2. Yeah, it was a big enough of a problem. If I had to guess, it may be something to do with when they tried to get that New Glenn first stage back and it exploded. They found something that was big enough to constitute a slight redesign of parts. 8 months is not a long time in the aerospace industry years. That's not a long time. So whatever it is a slight retool. Now, whether that is because of like production integration or like if they found components were verifiably not performing to their standards, I don't know. It's probably one of those things. Hopefully more throttle this time on liftoff. Yeah, Motorkid, I hope this thing will get off the pad faster. They want to reuse this stage for Flight 3 net January. That's what, dude, Phil, you reminded me. That's what it was. Guys, I think they were aiming, oh yeah, this is the other thing that I like to say, but I'm not really 100% sure that this is a thing, but it might be a thing. I fully believe they were going to get, so you're saying there's a chance, Glenn Stage 1, they wanted to get it back. I think their 6 flights this year were built around getting Glenn Flight 1's first stage back, and they didn't. And I think that threw a monkey wrench in those plans. I think that has a lot to do with it too. Are they launching payload? New Glenn Flight 2 is scheduled to launch a NASA payload, RJ. They're launching Escapade to Mars. What is waterfall design? Waterfall design, John, is when you design the entire vehicle out before you build anything. Basically, you build out a full and comprehensive blueprint of the entire thing that you want to achieve, and then build it. That's the engineering style that Blue uses. They design the entire rocket. But the problem with that is that if you design out the entire rocket, your analysis better be damn freaking good. Because if you get a curveball, and curveballs often do happen in... Every spacecraft has teething problems, guys. Every Starship's a good example. How many times has that thing blown up, right? But when you're using waterfall, if you don't do your analysis good enough and something bad happens, it's something that you don't like, that's not, that, you know, obviously they didn't get the first stage back, your analysis wasn't good enough. Do better analysis next time. Now, the flip side of that is doing a more iterative approach. That's what SpaceX does. Build the things as quickly as possible, fly as quickly as possible. If it blows up, it's not because you didn't get the engineering right, it's because you didn't spend as much time trying to figure out if it was right. You got it good enough, launch the thing, and if it blows up, figure out why it blew up, and then change your analytical model for the next flight. That's what SpaceX does. Yeah, that's what they've been doing with Falcon 9 for like 15 years. Every time Falcon 9 flies, it gets more reliable because it's more flight data added into the pool. Yeah, in business terms, which I hate using, to be honest with you, I say I like, it's agile. That's what it's called. I think 6 was a stretch, but they hot-fired 2 Glenn Stage 2s already. They could have launched more if they stuck the landing on NG-1. Well, yeah, Ryan, that's what I'm saying. So we've seen 2 stages tested. When was that first GS2 stage tested for Flight 2? That was like before the summer, dude. And then in the summer, they rolled out another one, right? And now they rolled this thing out. My guess is that what is it called? So you're saying there's a chance that was going to fly Flight 2 and 3. That's my guess. Because there's holes in their production line otherwise. And this thing was, they were going to do probably 3 flights with the first Glenn Stage 1. And then this one, GS2, would have probably handled the latter flights, or they would have swapped to like alternating or something. That's my guess. I don't know if for sure. Blue is very tight-lipped about this, so I don't know if that's real or not. It might be. Who knows? But yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. Clearly, their first stage production is not matching their second stage production output. Something that really does make a difference if you're reusing your first stage. Hey, Ewok, what's going on? Any word on when Rocket Lab's landing ship is going for sea trials? Well, they just recently bought it a couple of months ago, Rarest. It's going to take some time to make it. Expecting to land on the first attempt is crazy, though. It's not if you're using waterfall design, if you're using waterfall engineering, waterfall systems engineering, Akimi. It's not, no, not at all. I would argue And that's where I'm like, I would argue that if you're going to play devil's advocate here, it's like, what do you know about landing stages from suborbital trajectories? Well, Blue has some experience with that with New Shepard, but I think it's kind of clear at this point that that didn't translate over very well. Seems like the nose cone of Ship 26 has been scrapped. Good. Burn it. So, you know, if you rewind back to the beginning of this year before Glenn Flight 1, right? Before the NG-1 mission, it seems like a pretty smart idea. In fact, I said that's, you know, Blue has some experience landing. But doing an exoatmospheric deceleration burn and going through the reentry transients, right, of a first stage coming back from way above the Kármán line, going way faster, they don't have a lot of experience with. And it shows. So, once again, like, you know, I might be connecting the dots that aren't there, but we've seen 3 New Glenn second stages and 2 New Glenn first stages. I mean, do the math. You know what I mean? Now there's NG-1, which had the first upper stage and the first stage. The upper stage did its job and it's still up there from what I understand. The first stage did not do its job and it failed. And then we saw another second stage for New Glenn. NG serial number 2, or NG-GS2 serial number 2, right? And then we saw NG-GS2 serial number 3. And now we see NG-GS1 serial number 1. Like I said, 3 upper stages this year, 2 first stages. Do the math. One's missing, which means, like I said, the more I think about this, the more I think that they entirely were intending on getting that stage back. And they didn't, and that screwed up their production pretty badly. But, I don't know. That's just a theory, guys. Who knows? Either way, Never Tell Me the Odds does look beautiful. Look at that dang thing. It's a monster. I love it. It's great. Fly it more, please. Clearly, they front-loaded the engineering effort, and they are confident that they can do it. In comparison, SpaceX is more, let's launch it and figure it out from the data. Yep. Pretty much. I mean, that shows that when they start landing the boosters, their second stage production is pretty good. Well, yeah, ship watching, that's the other reason why I think they're planning on... These are full fidelity models, like a full fidelity flight article here, meaning that this thing is designed to be reused basically from the start. It's not like Falcon, where they added grid fins, and then they added landing legs, and then they tried to land one out in the water, and then they tried to land one on a drone ship, and then they tried to bring one back to land, and they got one back to land, then they got one on the drone ship, and then they figured out ways to do that better. And then we get Falcon 9 Block 5. That's the short version. This is not that. This is trying to make Falcon 9 Block 5 on the first try. That's why it's taken so long for New Glenn to come around, because they're trying to do all the analysis first. Yeah, dude, she's a beast. I mean, either way, this thing's going to go, and I'll bet you this one lands. I'll bet you they'll get it. It's like I said, Blue has a lot of experience landing stages. It's the going fast part and slowing down part that they don't have a lot of experience with, but I'm sure they learned something from New Glenn, from the NG-1 mission. Sure they learned something. Oh, it will land, but will it be okay after landing? Who knows? Still V1, not Block 5. Those B4s are weak right now. See, Kraken, I hope that my theory about the conservative tune on these motors is right. I hope. Because if it's not, that means this thing needs to go on Weight Watchers. Think about it. It's one or the other. Why would you get such low thrust to weight off of the pad? I theorized at the time that these are probably using a configuration that's borrowed from Vulcan because Vulcan has flown, and that's flight data for a BE-4, and that's very useful, right? I hope that that's what's going on, because if it's not, that means the rocket's too fat. Yeah, it's a 1070 up there with 3 axles in the back pulling it. An M1070. It's good. So I hope that they can squeeze. I hope that I was right with the Vulcan flight configuration, or else this thing is too heavy. You got to lose. It's got to go on Jenny Craig, like what chat said. Doing it like SpaceX allows to compartmentalize the design and problems instead of a holistic system approach. Correct. They also plan to refurb it for Flight 3 in 90 days. This booster is named Never Tell Me the Odds. Phil, you know what just popped into my head? May the odds be ever in your favor. Glenny Craig. That is the only time, Spacey Plum, where I will ever condone the use of Glenny. Ever. It's gotta go on Glenny Craig. Spacey, can I say that on the Flame Trench tomorrow? Please? Please, can I say that on the Flame Trench tomorrow? Please? I'm gonna do it. Glenny! Oh no, not Glenny. Please, I need to go. I won't do it if you say no. Glenny Craig. That's awesome. That's so good. It's all yours. Oh, I will give credit. I'll give credit to you. I'll name drop you on Flame Trench because that's pretty funny, dude. Glenny Craig! Why did you read that horrid book? What, Hunger Games? I didn't. I learned that from memes, Lazari. That's the Hunger Games, right? I don't even know. Is it? I think. May the odds be ever in your favor. Sweet. All right, cool. Yeah, that's not the type of books I read. I read books like The Fighting Sailor by Jack Ryan. It's about naval combat tactics. Yeah, that's what I read. That was multi-layered there. His conclusions were all wrong. Halsey acted stupidly. Is anybody gonna tell me why there's just 4 ladders, 4 like step ladders hanging off the side of the GS2 reaction frame here? Because the fact that there's just 4 of them and they're asymmetric really just makes me upset. My flavor of anal retentativeness is just looking at that and going, ugh. So, Cyborg, you saw it too. Dude, my guess is that there's something that needs to be, there's a system here that needs to be closed out that they can only do on the pad. And that's why those ladders are there. It's something they're not going to remove them because they still have something to do in this area on the stage, and they can only do it when it's on the pad or in the HIF. But judging by the way those ladders probably fold, they probably fold out this way. So I would say that New Glenn would probably be in the vertical position on the pad when those things are used. So it's some type of open ticket item that is done during pad closeout. That's my guess. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know. They're just there to piss you off. I'd believe that. Have you read his Lost Fleet series? It's great. Are they online with 3 of the... No, they are not in line with the legs. At least I don't think. Hold on. Yeah, no. There's a leg here, engine there, leg there, engine there. So this engine right here it's lined up with those 2 motors. The landing leg, there's 6 of them. The landing leg's right here. That's where the Ethernet plugs in. Oh. Yeah, wait a minute. Where is the umbilical? Do we know where Glenn Stage 1's umbilical is? Is that the white tile? Ooh, new David Feinberg. Nice. Look. It's the umbilical. Absolutely. There it is. The tail service mast is right there. See it? And that clocks... Okay, hold on. No, that's raceway side. So see this thing right here? This stripe that's going down the booster? That's the raceway. So that is... that would be... Looking at the booster, guys, that's the bottom. If we go back over here, that position would be down here on this side. So if we go over here, it would be over here somewhere. Because if you notice, there's no umbilical going down the side of the vehicle. There's the Blue Origin logo, which means the raceway is down here. It's on the bottom, which means there's a TSM over here. There's a tail service mast umbilical. Is there 4 of them? Are the fins longer on the new rocket? I don't think so. No, they look about the same. So, we very clearly have, you very clearly have 4 umbilicals here. There's one over here, 2, 3, and 4. And the umbilical is attached in a position that looks like it's where that white tile, that white cover is. So I'm going to say that's for well, I mean, but then again, they wouldn't you wouldn't attach the umbilicals when the thing's vertical on the pad. That's some like space shuttle nonsense. Like, why would you do that way? Drone ship hold downs? I don't know, maybe. Yeah, so here, let me back it up real quick. Yeah, see, there's another one right there. Mustang. Absolutely a Mustang. Oh, dude, that's rad. Look at that monster. That looks like hold downs. If it's hold downs, Aqualux, why is there a processing stool at the bottom of the stage? Genuine question. What's this blue thing? The reaction frame. That's what bolts to the pad. We've seen it. I don't think... Actually, dude, looking at this, right? See these orange things? Those look like ordnance enclosures for explosive bolts, if I'm looking at this correctly. Hold downs, not hold ups. Now I'm really confused. What launch were the people in a circle with their titles over their computer screens? That's Intuitive Machines Mission Control. Can I just watch this? Never mind, the bolts say otherwise. Yeah, now that's what I mean. I knew you'd see that and be like, wait, no. Because, yeah, that's very confusing. What the hell are those things? They gotta be commodity feed lines, dude. They have to be umbilicals. They gotta be service umbilicals. That's... But why 4? Why 4 of them? So, unless... Well, one would be for LNG. The other one's for LOX. Maybe one for helium. And then what's the 4th one? Maybe a has gas recirculation. There could be one to for your flare stack. One could be a has gas umbilical, hazardous gas, or starter lines. I don't know enough about the BE4 to really know, dude. Either way, that's what those step ladders are for. It's for doing. One of these things has to be hooked up when the vehicle is vertical. That's why those ladders are there. Woof. Oh, that's nice. Dude, that rocket is freaking huge. This picture does not do it justice, man. That thing is gigantic. Like Saturn V big. It's huge. Oh. Oh. You know, for a company that's never staged anything before, they did pretty damn good. Considering they got a 7-meter core diameter rocket to stage on the first try, that's pretty damn impressive, actually, for a rocket that size. I must say, it's not easy to do. I mean, you saw how big that first stage is, right? The second stage is half the size of that damn thing. That's like getting two 747s to separate from each other. Like, flying next to each other, getting to separate and not having them blow up. That's a money to noise converter. I mean, you did see who was in mission control, right? And survive a coast to Mio with an engine relight. That's insanely difficult. They did good, man. They really did. Oh, I see. The money is there. Yeah, Stymo. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? You know, you see what I'm saying? You know, you're right, but also I don't think that that's an issue here. You know, considering that's the owner of Blue Origin right there, and that's the CEO right there. Yeah, that guy just. Yeah, these two. Yeah, yeah. Do you think the FTS went off on the first stage? No. I think they, So, okay, I don't mean to keep comparing to SpaceX. I'm not trying to do that to like, denigrate Blue or anything. The early Falcon 9 flights that did supersonic retropropulsion, Blue calls it an exo-atmospheric reentry burn. Just probably because they didn't want to call it supersonic retropropulsion because that's what SpaceX calls it. I don't know. Whatever. I'm going to say supersonic retropropulsion, not because I have an axe to grind or anything. That's just my favorite thing, and I just like saying it. It's like my favorite thing. I'm known for it. SSRP is a NASA term, actually. Yes, that's right. So during the early Falcon 9 days of recovery, like, so we're talking CRS-4, what was one after that? Like 2013, 2014, 2015, that time period with Falcon 9, SpaceX was having some nasty entry intrusion problems despite doing supersonic retropropulsion. They were getting extreme burn through at the bottom of the vehicle. So the rocket engines, New Glenn and Falcon 9, have an engine section, right? New Glenn's is more pronounced because it flares out because of the landing legs, right? And the only part of the engine that you see is the nozzle. That's not the entire rocket engine, right? The only part that you see is the nozzle. But all the turbine machinery is inside of the engine section. And the entire rocket gimbals. When a rocket engine gimbals, the turbine machinery and the nozzle move as one, right? And it's on a gimbal. It's on a ball joint, basically, and it can move in any direction, right? That's what a gimbal is. A gimbal usually just tilts the entire rocket engine, and the fuel lines are connected with a flexi hose. It's a really, really, really cool space-age flexi hose. But that's the idea. So because of this, right, basically around the throat of the engine or somewhere along the nozzle, you need to have a heat blanket that connects to the engine section that can flex with the rocket engine. Somebody's screwing around with CP11. Whatever. You need to have a blanket. There needs to be flex, but you also don't want stuff going up inside of your engine section when the vehicle's flying backwards, right? When it's flying business end first. SpaceX had a lot of problems with burn through back in the day. They were blowing out engine panels on landing. Go Google a picture of JCSat 14, the JCSat 14 booster. Here, I'll show you. I'll just give you a picture. So here's a picture of the JCSat 14 booster after it landed on, of course, I Still Love You. The engine covers are missing. Look. That means re-entry heat got up in here and blew the engine covers out. 1, 2, 3. See that? That's not great. In fact, the last Falcon 9 first stage that we lost, that SpaceX lost in flight, was because they had burn through into the engine section. Tube. So my guess is that New Glenn Flight 1 had something very similar going on. That is not something you can simulate, guys. It's not something you can really take into account for. It really isn't. Anything re-entry really can't be tested at scale. It really can't. That's what makes those Starship re-entry videos so damn invaluable, because that's the first time anyone's ever done like wide-scale iterative testing with re-entry vehicles and has been able to see it, let alone stream it live. It's pretty damn impressive. So my guess is that something happened with burn through, at least a little bit. They went to restart an engine and something broke and that blew the thing up. I'm pretty sure it exploded. Now, the thing is that it could be something else. It could be burn through. It could be that they didn't have the propellants settled. If you cast your mind back to like Starship SN8 and SN9, those tests, where the engines just coughed up, or even SN11, where it just blew up trying to land, yeah. If you don't have your propellants settled, so, okay, think about it. The stage is floating in microgravity. I mean, it's coming back down, but it's still floating. All the propellants floating around inside. If you don't have some type of way to settle the propellants at the bottom of the tank, when you go to start the rocket engine, it's going to suck in air. And if it sucks in air, or what's called ullage, if it sucks in the tank ullage, it'll explode. You basically put helium into your rocket engine. It doesn't like that. It'll explode. Yeah. You basically asphyxiate a rocket engine, and it does. Yeah, that does. It's not happy when that happens. That's the quick way of saying that. But what did the FAA flight review for New Glenn 1 say, though? I don't know. I don't remember, Ship. Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head. Anybody know? I wonder if Blue Origin will give us some sweet shots with Project Kuiper. They've been launching quite a few more lately. Yeah, there's another one scheduled for Saturday, Hazanku, for sure. For sure. What's that, Bargon? This is Andrew Parsonson. Andrew reports on the European space program. Like when you're trying to breathe your drink, except exploding rather than coughing. Yeah. Well, Alex, if the rocket engine chugs or coughs, it basically explodes. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good way to say that. Sure. Okay, so what's Andrew saying? Ariane Group CEO Martin Sion. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Has been appointed as the next head of French train maker Alstom as the rocket builder ramps up production of Ariane 6. Huh. Alstom made the Acela 2 next-gen trains that just went online. Huh. Dan, that's could be a thing, sure. Those are the people that make the TGV. Guys, I don't want to read into anything, but like, okay, so him leaving, what does that mean? Ariane Group is in process of trying to ramp up to make Ariane 6 competitive in the commercial market. They need to scale. They need to make more because they need to be able to lower the unit. They need to be able to compete on unit price with Falcon 9. So they're trying to scale up. Trying. I'm not 100% sure that this guy leaving has anything to do with them trying and failing. Did he jump ship or did he get poached? CEOs get poached like this all the time. It happens. The FAA's investigation identified the inability of the first stage to restart its engines as the direct cause of the lost booster. Yeah, that sounds like burn through to me, Ship. Blue Origin proposed several corrective actions, which include improvements in propellant management and engine bleed control to prevent future occurrences. Interesting. I wonder if engine bleed control, I wonder if something like what happened on Flight 10, where the aft section of Starship blew up, the bleed line exploded. I wonder if something like that happened to New Glenn. They're similar propellants. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if this CEO leaving is because Ariane Group is in trouble or if he just got poached for good money. Also, I like trains. Young Ninja, what's up? Hey, during their first launch, I heard that during staging, the second stage cooked the first stage, causing the rocket to fail during re-entry. Could be. It's possible. So, Young Ninja, the first stage, basically, somebody over Ninja Dan in YouTube chat said that same thing. If that's what happened, that would unsettle your propellants. So staging happens, all your propellants go kind of forward, right? If you're trying to settle them and your first stage basically bonks, the second stage ignition bonks the first stage, it's going to splash the propellants around because the booster is going to try to settle and then suddenly decelerate. Now, that should get all your propellants to go to the bottom of the tank, right, per physics, but it could unsettle them by splashing them around. And then you got to remember that first stage is going to try and flip over and then light. So that's possible. Yeah, no, that can happen. You can perturb your settled propellants in the stage and cause a really bad problem. That's the reason why, if you look at Falcon 9, for instance, Falcon 9's nitrogen control thrusters up at the top, they have, like if you're looking at it, there's one that points directly out from the vehicle, there's two that point to the side, and then there's ones that point down. The nitrogen thruster that points down is designed to settle the propellants, like in preparation for supersonic retropropulsion, and also boost back before that. I suppose it means he got a sweet deal and they figured out their manufacturing lines. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, but like you'd think they'd account for that in simulations. Like I said, Hazanku, I think the real reason why we've seen such a big gap between Flight 1 and Flight 2 is they found something that they didn't take into account, which means their waterfall testing didn't waterfall very well. You said Blue was going to land on the first try. Do you think they will land it this time? I think they'll get it, or get very close. Pop, I think if they get that thing over Jacqueline, they will land it. I think they will. Getting it to it is kind of what I'm wondering. The reason why is because Blue has experience with sending a stage straight up and bringing it straight back down. They don't have experience with getting it to a pinpoint target that's downrange. I mean, they kind of do with New Shepard, but clearly it's not exactly the same. Plot twist, they sink the landing ship. Fun fact, that almost happened on SES-9. With Falcon 9, that almost happened. There is a really funny picture of the drone ship after the failed SES-9 landing. I don't know where that picture is. That picture's lost. The really funny picture of the drone ship has a Falcon 9 sized hole in the deck. Darth Teddy, I don't know if you remember me, but I watched you years ago. Glad you're still killing it and good to be back. Yeah, of course, man. Yeah. Teddy, I might be getting you confused with another user that has Teddy in their name. You were here during Mint Chip when I built that fueling depot on Minmus, right? Right? I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong. There's a lot of you to remember over all these years. Was it at least dead center? Oh, no, it was outside the bullseye. What is the ground clearance of New Glenn when it's standing on its landing legs? Don't know. First stage is way too fat. It just sinks the whole ship to the bottom of the ocean. Yeah, maybe. Yes, and you still wore glasses and you were working on your truck. Still got it, man. I still got it. I've been doing this for almost 15 years. I still got it. Yeah. All right. Oh, I have a shop now, by the way. Yeah, Teddy, here, check this out. I got a shop now. Yeah, we don't need to work on the truck in my parents' garage anymore. Here, look. I was trying as hard as I can to not trip. Flip flops. That's right. Move it. Yeah, so that's what I'm up to. That's the new project. That's the crew cab charger. It's a 69 Coronet, and it has no business being restored, but I'm going to do it anyway. Hey, AJ, clean your shed. Clean the shed? It's pretty bad, isn't it? It was clean when we brought the car in here. Do you remember? It was. Sedated. What's up, man? 18-month resub. Excited for the future garage streams. Yeah. Why is there an intake on the floor? That is the cast iron intake manifold from Bluefus. Yep. That thing weighs like 50 pounds. Okay, all right. Well, actually, it's closer to 60. For reference here, that thing weighs more than Titan. My dog. It is heavy. What car? I can't see it through the trash. All right, message received. Jesus. What flight was it that you said that Falcon 9 punched a hole through the drone ship? Nice autocorrect, Ship. I saw that before you retracted the message. I know what you meant, dude. It's all good. SES 9. There's some footage from a photographer that doesn't take pictures anymore. Julian is his name. He took a picture from a helicopter of the drone ship, and there straight up is a Falcon 9 shaped hole in the barge. It looks like it didn't go all the way through. It didn't punch through, but it did punch a hole in the deck and then maybe fell over and exploded. Maybe. But yeah, SES 9. The drone ship landing was not great. Yeah, Dama. Yeah. There you go. My bad. Hey, don't worry about it, dude. It's an honest mistake. I knew it was an autocorrect. You didn't mean it. It's fine. What do you think happens first? The Starship catch or New Glenn reuse? Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. Huh. You know what? I'm going to say New Glenn reuse. Yeah. That is a little bit easier than bringing a ship back from space and landing it with sub-centimeter precision. Don't get me wrong. Both of these things are extremely difficult. But, if we could focus in our difficulty scale at the very, very top, I think bringing the ship back and landing it and catching the thing is a little bit more complicated than just reusing a New Glenn first stage. Now, actually, question, Nocturlux. When you say reuse a New Glenn first stage, do you mean reuse it and land it again, or just reuse it? That's not the exact picture that I was thinking. But yes, that's it. That's when the barge was still stored in Jacksonville, dude. So, yeah, if you look over here, they have a cover over it, but there's a Falcon 9 sized hole in the drone ship over there. Too bad these don't exist. For a 460. Is that an ABS plastic intake manifold? Huh. How many Falcon Punch references did that get? I made it, T-Canny. I don't know if people found it funny, though. Just reuse Nocturlux? New Glenn, I'd say. Henry in space. Do you pronounce data as data or data? Yes. Yes. Oh, the dater. Get the dater, bud. Yeah, this is when the drone ship was still moored in Jacksonville. I remember back in the day, somebody had a Jacksonville fleet cam, right? And we had like a grainy picture of the drone ship sitting in the harbor in Jacksonville. I pronounced Data as Brent. I understood that reference. When was this? Oh, oh gosh. Wild Gamer, this was easily over a decade ago. 2014, 2015. Yeah. This was before SpaceX had permission to bring a booster in to through Port Canaveral. And eventually they got their berth at Port Canaveral, and that's where the drone ships have been moored since. The UI was really different. Yeah, it was, dude, right? That was super different back in the day. A lot of blue. I kind of like the blue. It's kind of nice. Now everything with SpaceX is black and white. And that's fine. It's cool, I guess. Check DMs for illustration. Ah, yeah. Yeah, what the hell are those things, dude? That's yeah, because they're attached to the frame. That's weird, man. That's weird. Is it one of those sinkable barges that's under the thing? No, ship watching. In this picture here, that is a... it's kind of a sinkable barge, but it's not. That's just something to kind of push the drone ship up against so it doesn't... So the sides of the drone ships are wings, right? And if you tried to moor the drone ship up against this, right, the wing of the drone ship would be over here somewhere, and it would hit the concrete wall right there. So this thing, they kind of put it up on this thing so it can, you know, they can moor the thing correctly, and they don't have to worry about it damaging the pier or the drone ship. There's technical terms for what that thing's called. I totally forget what it is. No, it's not that one. I forget which one that one was, but that wasn't SES-9. Wasn't there footage of them testing that recovery bot on Jacqueline? If I recall correctly, it's supposed to use the umbilical connection to safe the booster. I mean, that makes sense, yeah. Just curious, do we plan on playing anything tonight? Yeah, Brad, we're going to play Kerbal. I moved Kerbal to after hours because I had to work on some other things. Anyway, yeah, here's more footage of Newglands. Interesting. Minecraft 2 has been confirmed. The movie, not the game. Yeah, see, they have propellant settling thrusters, guys. See? They're downward facing right there. Ooh. There's also ladders on that processing ring right there. Huh. In the sports ball world, Giants Eagles tonight. Can both teams lose? There's the bong. Never tell me the odds. EJ, do you think they're going to put a what in the delivery of Cybertrucks? Do they go to put one of them into Starship? I don't know, maybe. Maybe the first one that they bring back. That would be kind of cool. That'd be a cool payload. So pretty. I mean, Rocket, you ain't kidding, man. She's a looker. That's a beautiful rocket. Look at that thing. I'm not familiar with those teams. Only baseball exists currently. Oh, speaking of that, hold on. Who's playing tonight? Zero Phillies Dodgers into the 6th. Cool. What's that series at, Dink? Is this an elimination game? 2-1 LA. This is an elimination game. Philly's got to win. It's not cool. It's stressful. Yeah, I know. I know what you mean, dude. Brewers Cubbies tonight. What's that series at, Nova? I think the Cubbies are gonna. This is an elimination game for the Cubbies. Good night for the Cubs to be eliminated. Found the Milwaukee fan. I was gonna ask if we were gonna play MSC, but will also take Kerbal. Yeah, I played MSC last night, dudes. Detroit, Seattle, winner takes all. In Seattle on Friday. Oh, man, that's gonna... Dude, talk about a stressful game. Oh, crap. I want to watch that game. I don't think I can. Man! Let's go Yankees. Yeah, let's go to Cancun. I'm a Pirates fan. Can we just pretend the MLB isn't a thing? Yeah. PNC Park is nice, CW. It's a beautiful baseball stadium. Marlins have to beat Scooble again. That's going to be tough, dude. Yeah, no, I've been to PNC. CW. It's a beautiful baseball stadium, right by the river. Very beautiful. Great view. So at least your baseball stadium's cool. You know? Agent Smith, we're going to pretty much do that now. We're going to go get that science that we need to finish out the capsule. We got a nice capsule being brewed up here, but let's finish up some space news. We got something from ULA here. A new launch is underway for Atlas V and ULA teams. Stacking of the Atlas V 551 rocket commenced today at Cape Canaveral for launching the Viasat-3 F2 ultra-high-capacity broadband spacecraft. Designed to deliver throughput in excess of 1 terabits per second when it comes into service from geostationary. Man, I hope that's not a BSS 702. You know what sat bus this thing is? That was the one that arrived to the Cape on board an Antonov. Huh. Yeah. BSS 702 sat buses have not had a good track record as of late, but either way, still cool. Atlas V should have no problem yeeting that thing up there. Cool. Oh, this is another thing, guys. Check this out. This is big space news. Sorry for having this so late in the stream, though. So, Stoke got Series D funding to the tune of $510 million. Total funding is now at $990 million. This capital will accelerate our fully reusable Nova rocket. So they've doubled their value with that funding. So wild with no launch. Right, Rocket? That's actually pretty insane. Cape Canaveral will be a busy place soon. Yeah. I don't think Stoke is faking anything, actually. I think the design team that they have is pretty damn good. Stoke developed a full flow stage combustion cycle engine with a 7-man team. Yeah. Stoke's the real deal.
Discovery, go at
so the guy that runs Stoke is a guy by the name of Andy Lapsa. Andy Lapsa was the chief designer on the BE4. He used to work at Blue Origin. He left in 2017. The BE4, the thing that's on the back of New Glenn. Yeah. Yeah, Varian, you didn't know? Stoke is insanely small. It's a very small company. Can you imagine that? 7 dudes designed the Nova rocket with the Andromeda upper stage and that crazy heat shield engine. 7 dudes. Can you say Adderall? I say good engineering, man. I don't know anything. I'm not saying nothing else, dude. Yeah, Stoke is the real deal. Talk about focused vision. Hey, it's really, systems engineering is really easy when you know exactly what you want. The problem is it's really hard to figure out exactly what you want, which is why when we play KSP, guys, I always make it a thing nowadays to say, what are we doing with this vehicle? What does this vehicle do? What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do with it? What is it designed to do? And I really try to drive that point home because building it is way simpler when you know what you want. And Stoke is a really good example of this. Peep the resub. What's up, ECMA? What's up? How you doing? Arsenal. 100-month resub. Not bad. Not bad. Oh. I'm not saying that, dude. I'm not saying, dude. That's... Yeah. I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying nothing. Yeah. A little messed up, dude. Messed up. Not your message. That. World's good except for the shutdown, but I still get to work. Back pay, schmack pay. Yeah, you're fine. You'll be all right. All right. And yeah, you guys have seen this. I showed these yesterday on stream, but check this out. SpaceX yesterday did move. We ended up talking about Cybertruck. SpaceX did move Super Heavy. That's 15.2 to the pad. Yeah. And it is on the... it's on the OLM. Right? Dang, that's impressive. 24 engines on this booster have flown previously with this booster. What was that vent noise? They're pouring concrete. They're pouring concrete at the Gigabay. The Kuiper launch Strickler it got moved to Saturday. The weather is down there is being annoying, from what I understand. Have you seen that Raptor logo before? That is the first time I'm seeing it. Yes. It was raining all morning along the lower East Coast today. Dude, we got a monsoon yesterday up here. They just reused the Tesla logo? Oh, crap. It kind of is a Tesla logo. Why'd you have to go and say that? Now I can't unsee it. Man! Why you gonna go do that? Pa! Why you gotta make me feel bad? Oh, there is one thing. Hold on. Where the heck is it? Ah, there it is. Yeah, I wanted to show you guys this. Here, check this out real quick. So, take a look here. What do you think of this? Will the bottom of Block 3 Super Heavy glow? Yeah, a little bit. Are you going to go down to Starbase? No, Bran, I'm not. There is just one more thing. Ow. You hate it? They're basically Kerbals with fur and ears. It's pretty good character modeling, man. Yeah, yeah, Aqualex, you would be fine with it. I'm just messing, dude. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, it looks good to me, man. Oh, look, he's so sad. Space and Cat review. So this is the this is a video from our buddies over at RocketWorks about with the character model for Kitten Space Agency. Stream is buffering a lot. Oh no. Good on the YouTube end, David? Stream's fine on YouTube? OBS says I'm dropping frames like crazy. No issues on you guys' end. Pedro says we're good. All right. Stream can't handle the cuteness. It's still dropping. We're dropping frames over on the Twitch side like crazy, man. YouTube is, you guys are still good over there? That's good, man. That's good. Thank you for letting me know. Are we good now on Twitch? Seems fine now. It still says we're dropping frames like crazy, dude. What the heck's going on over here? Anyway, that was the new KSA avatar. I'm fine with it. It's pretty cool. Like, I don't know. Twitch is like 50 seconds behind YouTube. Oh dear. No stutter there? Yeah, you're like low FPS. Yeah, I know. I see it. It says it's unstable, but YouTube is okay, which tells me that that's Twitch's. It's on Twitch's end. It's the ingest server. Great stream, by the way. Thanks, Jeff. Only happened when the cat was playing. Get a lot of buffering from other Twitch streams too. YouTube seems fine. Oh, all right. It's good after a refresh. Okay. Yeah, YouTube is loud and clear. You have 1080p at 60 just fine. All right, cool. Why wouldn't you be fine with that? I'm not saying nothing, dude. I ain't saying nothing. Give Twitch a restart? Yeah. You'd like to see a caricature of Titan instead of the cat. I said that in a buffer to get on Twitch. No buffering on the YouTube side. Tell Rocket it needs whiskers. Got it. Alright. Didn't know you stream on YouTube. Learn something every day. Yeah, I'm here. It's coming back around, guys. I see the connection. It should be stabilizing out now. Refresh it. Oh, nope, it went to crap again. All right, anyway, that was it for the space news. So I'm going to jog the YouTube VOD because we're going to go start part 9 of our career mode save, dudes. Yeah, we'll go from there. So we'll jog both the Twitch and the YouTube streams.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
I'll see you guys in about like 5 minutes, and we'll fire up KSP. I hope you enjoyed the 4-hour space news. I told you there'd be a big space news today, right? So I will see you guys in a moment. I will be back. I'll